Yes, guys, you know what time it is. It's your boy David at the Irish Hotspur, Ireland's #1 Spurs fan, bringing you just basically a bit on the supporters trust, what's going on with the board at the minute. Then we're going to break into the government's fan-led review on football governance and what you fans out there would like to see happen in that. We're going to break down the Paritici video as well, maybe just a few thoughts on that as well. So we've got a very, very good show today. And, of course, we're joined by co-host Jack and, of course, Danny, the only one, Kiriakou. Jack, my man, how are you keeping?
We're going to be touching. I'm doing well, David. I had a very, very good lunch beforehand because it's probably necessary considering, we're talking about the big boy topics, as you might say, the ones having to do with, the Mr. Man upstairs, the very evil one, as well as maybe, the director of football that also released a few statements. Of course, eventually we'll get off to Newcastle. There are just a lot of topical things that we really have to break down here. So I would just say everybody strap in because it's going to be certainly a very, very deep one for this episode.
100%. And of course, we always look for your answers on every question. So, guys, make sure you do put your answers in the comments. But Danny, my man, how are things with you? How you been keeping?
Yeah, been good, Dave, man. Been busy. Work, same old things. Work and work. Work hard, play harder. That's pretty much it, really. So, got a trip to Amsterdam a couple of weeks. So I'm looking forward to that, mate. And yeah, it's been good. It's good to see you guys. I haven't been on for a while, and I've been really busy and everything like that. So a lot of work and projects going on. But yeah, man, it's good to be back on. And I know this is going to be a brilliant show tonight. So
no, it's good to have you, Danny. It's good to have you, my man. Of course, if he looks a bit hungover today, he was at the David Ginola event yesterday. Having an absolute blast. So was it good, Danny? Man. Yeah.
Oh, it's phenomenal, man. It was good to see a lot. Like I hadn't met some of the Tottenham away boys as well, like Iggy and JP was there yesterday. His son was there as well, and he was doing a bit of work there. But met a few more new faces yesterday, and it was good. Obviously, with Ben and Sim were there, and a lot of other people. So it was really, really good fun last night. Really good fun.
No, good. Well, guys, let's see what who in the Harris Army is here. Let's see who we've got in the house. We've got the regular big up lads. It was a good Twitch stream yesterday. I enjoyed it. Big yourself up the regular. Appreciate that, my man. Of course, anyone that does want to check it out, me and Jack were streaming FIFA yesterday on Twitch, and I had to say I really enjoyed myself. Sometimes, it gets me a bit animated, but that's what we all want to see.
It was a big session. It was a big session. So if anybody, just wants to, watch David and I try to, beat all the PSG, users of the world, with the co-op seasons, definitely check it out.
No, I definitely do. Adam says, I don't want to alarm anyone, but Ernan actually won a game. Come on, you boys in green. Also, big up David and Jack. Big yourself up, my man. Yeah, of course, absolutely loving life right now. We scored 3 goals, probably more than what we scored all last year. 1 goal, or was it the year before? We got 1 goal, and that was from a set piece from Shane Duffy. So, I'm absolutely double delighted to triple that, I have to say. And who knows, maybe the return of Ireland to big tournaments could happen sooner rather than later. Tottenham Tantrum says, big up, guys. The likes of Sugar, Lewis, Levy have all taken the piss out of us. The only one who cares about Spurs is us fans. Levy and Lewis only care about money, and that's all. Come on, Amazon, buy us. Big yourself up there, man. I hope things are well. We've also got Kuva in the building. Big up, Kuva. James Redmond's in here. He says, Newcastle have a lifeline. Saudi-led consortium. Spurs are stuck with geriatric multi-billionaire Lewis. Geriatric, that's the one. Geriatric multi-billionaire. Come on, Dave. Who treats football fans with contempt? Martinez or Conte expected at Newcastle soon. Ambition, good comment. Dan Ed says, Newcastle news has me fuming. More proof that Levy maintaining the team actually is moving us backwards. Good point, Dan Ed. Chris says, Newcastle now got more chance of winning something than we have. Levy and Lewis need to sell up, or we're going to be a mid-table club with no ambition. Good point, Chris. Big up, my man. Zanuska Ramshunder, good to see you. Says, hi, all. Hope you're well. Come on, you Harris Army. Come on, you Flat Cap Army. Big up, Zanuska. Hope things are well with you. Who else have we got? Paro Miguel Escobar. Big yourself up. Says, good evening, fan. Big up, my man. Big up. We've got Big Pop in the building. Says, buying your way to titles isn't winning then. Look, I think I'd rather buy my way to a title now.
Nowadays, you kind of have to.
I don't want to be that club. I presume we'll get into it. But look, I didn't ever want to be that club. But it's just the way football's gone nowadays, and I don't want to be left behind. Blue Mountain says, is there some way of winning titles? Yeah,
I think in response to that
there
last
is.
one,
There's
yeah.
a blueprint there. City and Chelsea have formed it, so just follow that. Zoe DF says, "Evening, lads. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Zoe. I hope things are well with you." Killian Kenny, there's your shout out, my man. Says, "Hi, Dave. What a game it was for the Republic of Ireland, winning 3-0 versus Azerbaijan in Baku. Today, big up the Harris Army. Come on, you Harris Army. Come on, you Flat Cap Army. Hashtag Harris Army. Hashtag Eid Army. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Killian Kenny. Claude Murphy's in the house, says, respect all. Big up, Claude. Hope things are well, my man. Hope things are well. Big yourself up, brother. Shamu's in the building. Big up, Shamu. Get those likes in. Early Harris Army. Come on, you Harris Army. Come on, you Flat Cap Army. Fury or Wilder. Fury all day long. Look, Wilder has not learned his lesson. Fury got robbed in the first fight. Should have won it. You know, he rose from the dead. They gifted it a draw. So he says, okay, no point in crying over spilled milk. Let's just go in and give him a boxing exhibition. Is exactly what he done in the second round. And then Fury's crying about tampered gloves. You know, the costume took it out of him. Honestly, it's pathetic. He sounds like Arsenal down the road. So for me, look, I'm going Fury all day long. Honestly, I've followed this guy even before he bet Klitschko. I followed his rise to fame. You know, even before he bet Klitschko that time and stopped his dominance. Trust me, this guy is a gifted boxer. May not pack a heavy punch, but he's like Muhammad Ali, baby. You cannot catch him in that ring. Adam's in the building. Big up, Adam. Big yourself up. Willie McKenzie, brother. How are things? Big up, Jack, David, and Danny. Big yourself up, my man. David's in. Big up, Dahi. He says, big up, lads. Looking forward for this one. Levy out, Enoch out. Big yourself up, my man. Who else have we got in the building? Mr.
Chris
Socrates. Go on, Socrates. Big up, David, Jack, and Danny. Legends. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you boys and green. Great win today, Socrates. I'd say you're absolutely over the moon, my man. Absolutely over the moon. Big yourself up. Great win. Great win. Premier Hotspur TV says, big up David and Jack and Danny and the Harris Army. Come on, Fury. Big up Simon. What a man. I hope things are well. Everyone get over and check out Premier Hotspur TV. What a man. What a channel. Lightwork says Tyson versus Wilder prediction. Well, I've given mine. So look, Jack, what's yours?
I mean, I kind of feel impartial about it because Wilder, maybe as David was alluding to, kind of put on his tinfoil hat and started coming up with a bunch of theories for why he lost, you know, the last fight, and that didn't really rub me off too well. And at the same time, though, I do love a good old Bronx Bomber from Alabama and the way that he says it. So there you go, Dave. I think he's honestly, he has a very humble beginnings, very humble background, you know, and I do appreciate that about Wilder. I kind of probably might be leaning towards Wilder, but at the same time, I'm not passionate at all really towards him. So I really do, maybe just for representation of the South, I would like to see him win just because he has very humble background. But like I said, David, that guy was putting on the tinfoil hat last time he lost, which I did not appreciate.
Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. His excuses were insane. I actually have a good thing to say, and it's pinpointed where the fight was won for me, even before the fights even happened. But Danny, what's your prediction?
Oh, Fury all day long, 100%. Like you said, Dave, I'm like you. I was following him before, and when you watch him over the last two fights that he had with Wilder, he outscored him, and it was a joke that he didn't win the first fight. The second fight, he showed how good of a boxer he really was. Right. I know, obviously, Wilder's a harder hitter, but he's a brawler, man. He's a street fighter. He ain't no proper boxer.
Yeah,
Fury's he's a genius, man. The guy is intelligent.
Yeah.
The way he
it's
boxes,
a craft for him.
Yeah, of course, he knows what he's doing. And today he's going to show another masterclass tonight. And he's going to put him in his place once and for all and stop the little crybaby crying every single time he loses the fight.
No, 100%. I love it. Do you know where this fight was actually won? Just quickly, because I know we're not supposed to be talking about it, but they done a sit down thing beforehand. And Tyson Fury was on about the fight, and then the Bronze Bomber started going into this alter ego, like the Bronze Bomber being his alter ego. Tyson Fury said to him straight out, he says, the fact that you need this alter ego to take over you, I know I've already won the fight. He knows, you know, and that was all before the fights even happened. Tyson Fury is going to Tyson Fury is a genius. Yeah, he is a genius. He susses fights out. You know, he has game plans going into them. And just for a man to move the way he does, you no wonder why I love him. I absolutely love him.
And he even survived one of the hits from Wilder. You know, that's kind of the thing. If you do get hit by Wilder, most people just are cold after that. And he still survived it, which just shows, I mean, Fury is just not human. He's just not human for being able to get up from that.
Kev Williams says, Flat Cap Army, big up, Kev. Good to see you in. Big up, Shane O'Neill. Levy's first chairman in the door to the Premier League to complain about the Newcastle takeover. Big yourself up. Lucas
Really?
Shavy 14 says, evening to you all, good people. Big up, my man. I hope things are well with you, Luca. Hope things are good. Who else have we got here? Imad Hussein says, can't wait for the fight. Big yourself up. Spurs 72 says, evening, Jack and David and Danny K. Big up the chat. Big up Spurs 72.
Legend.
Hope things are well, my man.
Legend.
Coys says, hello, guys. Big yourself up. Hope things are well. Timo Mookie says, I'm tired of about these clowns. Paritici Lewis. And he wants Lewis out 100%, my man. Couldn't agree more. THFC says, we need a Saudi. Big yourself up. Of course we do. Of course we do, my man.
Pretty much anything will do.
Take this super chat here, my man.
Yeah, Paul Markey saying Premiership teams need to take a case against FIFA for their failure to enforce a financial fair play policy before the Saudis take the mick big time. Paul, might have to disappoint you with what Man City got away with last time. You just thought they had the easiest slam dunk case in the world. They really did. Especially, I think it's actually more UEFA that really have more of a kind of a sway in this all. And they still got absolutely bullied by Man City's lawyers, despite it being a very much a slam dunk case for them. And I think that just was the final, I don't know how you say it, was like the final straw really for any sort of hope. And, maybe thinking that financial fair play would do anything, to help maybe the smaller clubs, or maybe, not help, maybe prevent this sort of kind of financial bullying by bigger clubs. I really do think it's now becoming a thing where you just have to get with it. Maybe at this rate, it's just, there's nothing we can do unless maybe certain governments apart from UEFA and FIFA want to make certain restrictions towards it all. That's what it really relies on now, is just UEFA and FIFA are worthless in terms of putting any sort of legislation on these guys.
Well,
so
they're the
might have to come
corrupt
from somewhere else.
Organizations as well, Jack. Yeah. They're the biggest corrupt organizations in football. And I
wouldn't FIFA is the biggest corrupt. It's a non-profit, Danny. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, non-profit.
Financial fair play, lads, was brought in to keep governments out. It was just to keep governments out of looking into football regulation just until the next thing came up, till they can make an next rules to keep them out. That's all it was for. You see how corrupt they were. We know how corrupt FIFA is. And that whole thing, financial fair play, was to keep the governments from poking their nose in. To make it look like everything's above board. We all know it's a hoax. PSG can spend what they want. Man City can spend what they want. There's nothing in place to stop it. The whole thing's an absolute failure. The whole thing, it's just to keep the governments out. That's all it was, is to delay what's going on now in England with the fan-led review. That's all it was to keep that and prolong it further down the line and keep kicking the can, because they don't want to take their big money out of it before governments and all do start looking at it, because eventually governments will, with the amount of money coming in, eventually governments will start looking into it. You know what I mean? Because it's massive to their economy and stuff like that. So yeah, they are taking the mick, Paul Markey, and beat yourself up, my man. I really appreciate it. Yeah. Let's see who else we have in the house, and then we'll kick off the show, because we do have a lot to get through. Spurs Savage is in the building. Big yourself up, my man. Hope things are well. MRF versus buzzing for Newcastle fans, to be honest. Yeah, fair play.
They deserve it.
Fair play to them. They do deserve it. They've been through a lot. Lightwork says Steve Bruce is going to be get the sack and come on, you Spurs 3-1. Yeah, it's imminent, my man. It is imminent. Look, they're going to get in a manager. They're going to flood the January transfer window, and look, that's the way it's going to be. And it's that simple. Of course, he's going to get the sack. Look, he's Mike Ashley's man. He takes the money. Just put a team out there just to survive. You know what I mean? That's all it's about. Big up, Lightwork. Really appreciate the support, my man. Everton Football is in the building. Craig Bowler's in the building. Big yourself up. Marinder Singh is in the building. Just for Laws is here. Big yourself up. Chris Agenbar, how are you keeping, my man? We have Hugo Stenmark. Big yourself up. We've got Dara. We've got Paul Kane official. Everyone big up. We've got Dave Tyson. We've got Fresh Kid TV. Big up, guys from Jamaica. Big yourself up,
big
my
up,
man.
Fresh Kid.
We have Rico. Big yourself up, lad. I hope things are well. And Dermot becoming a new channel member. Big yourselves up. But guys, we are going to absolutely crack into it. We've got a lot to get through. I hope you guys stay with us. Big up, lappers. Hope you guys can stay with us for the whole show. Hopefully it's very interactive. Hopefully it's very thought-provoking as well. And we just want to get your answers in and see where the fans' heads are at, what people are genuinely thinking out here. But guys, make sure everyone does smash that like on the stream. Make sure you smash that subscribe button on the channel if you are new. And look, why not help support us with a super chat or two, guys? Honestly, if there's one donut left and it has that custard filling, I'm not waiting. I'm not waiting. You know what I mean? I'm bribing people down the line, and I'm getting that donut. So, guys, if you want to skip the queue, get your super chat in, and we will get straight to it. Just like Paul Markey has done here. Big up, Paul Markey. Really appreciate it. St. James is now sell out for the Spurs game. Of course it is. All the Newcastle fans are going to come flooding back in. And I'm just going to say this. People that think this is going to be an easy game, I have my doubts, because these players there now, they actually have a point to prove and they have something to play for. If they want to hang around for the big bucks and the big contract, they want to play their asses off. They're playing for their careers right now. Because with these owners, they're the richest owners in the league. Newcastle are now the richest club in the league. They can just terminate contracts if they want to. And they will do it. They want to win the Premier League. Make no mistake about it. Yeah. So, of course, it's a sellout. I'm not surprised, Newcastle fans are going to be back behind the club once again. And look, in a way, I'm delighted for them. It's sickening me, but it's going to make everything else a lot tougher. But we will get into it. Big up, Paul Markey. Appreciate that. We have Max A in the building. Big yourself up. The Bertie is in. Big up, Bertie. I hope things are well. We have Lex says, big up, lads. Big up, Lex. Hope things are well. Well, Jack, my man, let's crack into it.
Yeah, I think first things first, everybody, and this is not only for, the Harris Army and whatnot, it's for the panel here as well. We are going to maybe just give you a bit of that preliminary just kind of statement, just to give you a bit of context of what we're going to talk about first. And what we're going to be talking about first, everybody, is the fact that the Tottenham board have decided to reject any sort of meeting with the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust. And with that in mind, we must say that the last week, the board of the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust asked the board of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club for a meeting to discuss the club's medium to long-term strategies. That club has decided it does not want to address the questions many fans have been asking so far. It has declined to speak to the board of its official supporters trust, and an emergency meeting has now been taken place of the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust to discuss options, and then they will organize a meeting with its members to agree the next steps of maybe statement issues they're going to be bringing up on the 7th of October. So, bearing that in mind, everybody, and Danny, if it's all right if I start with you, does the Supporters Trust have a right to ask the board for a meeting over the mixed start that we've had to the season, the club's objectives, and how the club measures progress? A bit of an easy one to start with, but do maybe the Supporters Trust have that right? Do they reserve that right to ask, the board for any meeting regarding those topics?
It's
whoa. Look, sorry, I was off screen there.
That's all right. I think look, it's one of those things. It's like determining what the Supporters Trust actually do as well. That's a big thing, because it's you could say yes, but you could also argue against it as a no as well. I'm a bit torn between it, because yeah, in a sense that they're supposed to be the Supporters Trust, and in that respect, then yeah, you would expect them to have some kind of, like, they were promised they're going to have a fan representation on the board and all this kind of stuff. But most of us knew, a lot of us knew anyway, it was all low lies anyway. And we haven't heard anything since that they said they were going to put someone on the board. They haven't announced who it was, or they never even said anything. The Supporters Trust haven't said anything either. So that's what I mean. Like, it's just all things to throw people off to not actually look at what the actual problems are and what the actual things are going on behind the closed doors in the club. So you could say yes, they should have a right to, but really the club don't give a fuck. In all honesty, right? And if you're sitting there,
even if Daniel, they reserve the right,
well, this is the thing, yeah. Even if you're Daniel Levy, what is a Supporters Trust doing for Tottenham? Nothing, right? They don't do hardly anything. I know they've done bits in the past, like like they helped do the planning towards the disabled seating stuff in the stadium and stuff like that, and little things like that, which, yeah, it's helpful to the fans and stuff. And I think it's good work what they've done there. But in all honesty, when we've gone through the worst times with what's going on in the club, the Supporters Trust have been non-existent. So what the fuck do they do? And that's probably the kind of feeling that the club have. They're like, what? Well, who cares? Like, we don't care about you. They don't care about the fans. They don't care about supporters trust. They don't care about nothing. So why would they want to give them the right to or reserve the right for them to be to talk to them?
Maybe then,
at the end of
Danny,
the day,
just
they're
so
the ones making the money, isn't it? Right. And if you think about it, right, it's the supporters trust have no benefit towards what incomings or what income is put into the club. If the supporters trust were a company or something that could benefit Tottenham in a way financially, right, then of course they would say, yeah, you've definitely got a right. But if there's no financial clout or no financial kind of sort of, well, it doesn't help them or aid them in any way financially. Why would they care? They don't care. They only care about money that goes into the club. They don't care about anything else.
Yeah, and maybe Danny, just after I've, William Kelly, really, honestly, sorry, William Kelly, didn't notice I was off screen not reading that statement, but, you're almost doing it for me here, William Kelly, definitely opening up the conversation here, and he's saying, I have no sympathy for the supporters trust, and they don't represent us Tottenham supporters, exactly what Danny was just speaking about, William. The Newcastle takeover will put us down the pecking order. This is what I wanted for Spurs, but once again, we will be stuck with owners that don't spend. I'm deflated and destroyed. David, I mean, maybe you can, William Kelly, just have to say before maybe we thank you a million times, really would like to thank you myself. Honestly, very, very, very generous of you. Really do appreciate it. But I would just say, David, I mean, how do you address maybe the fact that now we're just going to be further down the pecking order? And also he's maybe touching on what Danny was just saying, David, that, in fact, the supporters trust to a degree has probably alienated themselves from the fans themselves. A lot of fans believe the supporters trust is not representative of the fans at all. How do you feel about that, David?
Look, what I'd say to William, and just to answer your question, I could probably do the two of them here combined, multitasking. Yeah. That's what you get here at the Irish.
I think William is opening it up for us. I'm actually riding off the back of William here.
No, big up, William, and I hope things are well, brother. I hope you enjoyed Ireland's win today, of course, my man. Hope you enjoyed it, or maybe you were asleep, maybe you didn't get to watch it, but either way, watch it. We won 3-0. You will enjoy it. But William, look, what I will say is guys, we have to remember, right? The supporters trust does have their uses, and you're talking about in terms for access for disabled people and all that sort of stuff, right? They do a good job in that department. They look after a broad spectrum of people there. So you can't write them off in that aspect, right? They do some things well. But look, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I've heard that it's kind of pre-planned what they're allowed to ask when they do meet with the board and stuff. There's no kind of like, it's not like you can sit there and just say,
give them the hard questions.
Yeah, you can't ask them proper questions that you want answers to, So what I would say is basically, the supporters trust, it does have its use. It does represent a certain body of people, and we do need it because it's the only official way we have to be able to speak to the board. You have to go through that channel. But the thing is, that's also a close-knit community. I couldn't walk in and say, I want to go to the next meeting and sit down and have a word with the board and ask questions. They just won't let you do it. So in a way, it is still kind of like closed off. And I get and for me, look, they don't represent me, to be honest with you. They don't represent me, my views or my opinions, or they don't represent what I would like them to ask the board. Look, at the minute, it's a bit of a power struggle. They're trying to have one-upmanship between them. Between the board and Daniel Levy, and I think that's the problem. Look, they have every right to ask, about performances. They have every right to ask about the club's objectives. You know what I mean, and how the club measures success. But where I struggle with this is it's the timing of it. It's straight after the North London Derby. You know what I mean? Now, why are you only finding your cojones now? Why didn't you sit down when the Super League was happening? You refused to sit down then. Why didn't you sit down there and make fans' voices heard? You didn't want to do it then. You had the whole manager search to request a meeting and find out what's going on. You didn't want to do it then. You had the transfer window, or even before the transfer window started, to find out exactly what direction we're going in. You didn't want to do it then. Why now? Why now? You can't, the thing is,
can't have it both ways.
They complain about the board picking and choosing who they answer to. But again, they pick and choose what they want to do. You know what I mean? They don't get, unless you pay your membership, You don't actually, and even then, you don't really get that much of a say, do you? You know
No.
what I mean? And that's my problem with it. It's still a closed shop. It's I don't like it. Look, they don't represent, like I said, they don't represent probably most of the fans out there anymore, to be honest with you. But they do a lot of good work. You cannot deny that. They do a lot of good work on other side of things. But yeah, it's a hard one.
When you say, Dave, I mean, to William Kelly and maybe Danny, maybe after David here, I was just say, when you say that it's almost like the supporters trust, the idea of it and the institution of it is good in theory, because you need to have like a representative body of the fans. It's almost like a union, right? You know, where you need that union leader, you need that union council that represents the greater population and represents their needs. But in our case, that union is by no way representative morally or even feeling the same way that you might say as the actual fans do. So I think William Kelly, it's just, that's the biggest problem. And I know you mean this, William Kelly, and I completely agree with you, because he's just saying that union, so to speak, or that, you know, representative body of us is by no means representative of what fans truly feel. And maybe they're even getting, this is where maybe I want Danny in here. Do you feel like that supporters trust, it's almost like because they've worked so long with, you know, the devil basically being Levy, that they've almost become corrupted themselves, where they're actually alienating. They've become so alienated from the fan base because they've been working with Levy so long, and they've been kind of, so to speak, kind of trying to get through to him, that now they just have almost lost touch with the fans themselves.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of everything, really. I think it's that's an element towards it, but it's also, it's like kind of what David was saying. It's like when there's certain aspects that they do which it is good, but majority of stuff that we really want answers for, we can never get them, and they'll never ask, because they've obviously got ties within the club, right? They obviously have some kind of connection to the club, obviously, because they have the obviously the communications that they're supposed to have, but they also, I think the ties run deeper than that, and it's probably why there's reasons why we don't get the information that I think everyone wants to know. And like when they're trying to, when they tried to request them to find out what the kind of medium to sort of short term kind of targets are, they did rejected it, because I mean, we're going to speculate later on, so I won't go into too much into it now, but there's obviously there's reasons why they don't want to, why the Tottenham board don't want to discuss that. And yeah, I know we're going to come on to, so I'll save it for that. But yeah, go on, Dave.
Yeah, I just want to add in, like, I just find the whole timing of it strange, because their reputation was kind of damaged over the whole Super League thing. The supporters trust was, right? It was. A lot of people started boycotting it, took away their memberships and stuff like that. But all of a sudden, it's like they picked the Arsenal again, because they knew then they could repair some of their damage and they could get their reputation high again. I just don't like the timing of it. It's like, this is the thing. If they could combine the good stuff to do, like, for instance, like, you know, when the stadium first opened, there was, like, you know, the seating allocations in the stadium wasn't right. You had people sitting in the wall in the big noise stand that were sitting and didn't want noise around them and stuff like that. And in fairness, they have like, they do liaise with the club to try and get all of that sorted. There are good things to do. Like I said, they look after the disabled people, you know, and help them out with match days and everything else. There's a lot of good they do. Right. But they also need to combine it and with the fans that have serious questions to be asked. Like, you know, it's all well and good doing that, like the good stuff, but combine it. Start asking the club the hard-hitting questions. Right. You know, you love the club. You support the same club we do. So find out what's going on. You have the same concerns we do. But stop playing politics with it. Stop playing, you know, doing it at times when you know you have a chance of repairing your reputation and when it suits you. Like, it's hypocritical that they get onto the board about picking and answering and choosing what they want to answer and to whom. But then they pick and choose what suits them as well. You know, at the end of the day, forget about all that sort of bollocks and just represent the fans of the club. Just ask the questions that need to be asked.
Do you think they're too scared then, maybe, Dave? Or like it's like
not that.
To them, maybe they think it's risking too much? I mean, why do you think that is? That
Look,
maybe, I know, again, we don't want to go, you know, give away too much before we get to these answers, but William Kelly's opening up a very, 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 you know, box of worms here, and very thankfully so.
Look, I don't want to go too much, like, you know, into conspiracy thing, but it's kind of like, look, with these sort of organizations, I never fully trust them because they have a deeper connection with the club than what they're ever going to tell you it is. You see all over the world, all in the news, that this entity is supposed to be separate to this entity, but they're all entangled and everything. You always see it, right? But the thing is, it's like, if they do that, well, what are they losing out on? Who knows what? Like, they might not even get any perks. I don't know, but I presume someone in there is getting a couple of season tickets, and whatever else. Do they want to lose that? Like, do they love the club that much that when they do get to sit with the board, that they actually feel a part and everything else? Is that what they don't want to lose? Okay, I can understand it, but at the same time, do what's right. Do what's right and find out what's going on. Like, how can you go from a Champions League final to finishing 8th in the league and in the Europa Conference League? Find out why this is happening. Do what you're supposed to be doing. Do your job. It's just another reflection of everything that happens in the club. No one does their job. But I've also heard, I don't know how true it is, but that, like, it's kind of pre-planned what they're allowed to ask before they go in. You know what I mean? So you can't
they get to write off
because as far as I'm aware, it probably goes to the club. The club okays it. Okay, you can't ask this, but you can't ask this. Okay, that's the meeting. I don't know if it's true, but I presume that's how it works. Could be a bit conspiracy theory of me, but look, I don't know. That's where I'm at with it. But big up William Kelly, my man.
Really,
I really appreciate the generous support.
Big up William Kelly. Honestly, really do appreciate it, and also opened it up. Really opened up the conversation as well, William Kelly. Honestly,
he's a fire starter, that guy. William Kelly's a fire starter.
Did we get to Paul Marquis maybe before that? I'm not sure.
Once.
This one, I think, before.
No, I read that.
Sorry, just making sure. Dermot here saying we have been mismanaged since Sugar. Come on, you Harris Army. Come on, you Flat Cap Army. It's almost it's like they've inherited to a degree. I think it's two very different kind of ownerships. And two different people, Levy and Sugar, but at the same time, it's almost like they inherited each other's, kind of reign of terror, you might say, on the fans to a degree. I mean, David, what do you think about this? Is it just kind of felt the same way since the 90s? Or is it the 90s very different?
Look, do you know what it is? It's just the lack of success that kills everybody. It's the lack of success. Look, you cannot argue, okay, the training complex. You can't argue with that. Stadium, you can't argue with that. But, like, that's only going to get you so far. And this is, like, what us fans are frustrated about. There's no point in having a nice big mansion with no furniture to sit on. No point in sitting on the floors. You know what I mean? You have to buy the players to go with it. And it just... But the thing is, they speak about knowing that they need to do this. But even with the Paritici video, which we will get onto, it doesn't suggest that they are going to do what they know they should be doing.
It's all paper talk.
You know what I mean? And it's just infuriating. Look, I think everyone will probably agree with this, is keep Levy and that for the financial side of things and, whatever projects he wants to delve into, go for it. But get someone in on the football side of things. I know they have Paritici, but, like, get someone to oversee the money. Okay, this is what money's available. This is what we're doing. This is what we need for the playing squad. That's what you have left for your projects. That's what I would like to see happen, because at the end of the day, as they like to call us consumers, which I hate that word because we're fans. We're passionate people who love the club. We're not consumers. Don't ever put a label on us like that just because we buy the merch. We buy it because we love the club. So you shouldn't be calling us consumers, first of all. But the thing is, we just want to see good football. That's why, like, no matter whether you go to the stadiums and pay for the tickets, you're a season ticket holder, or whether you're around the world and pay whatever subscriptions you need to pay to watch your club, all you want to see is your team give it a full effort and play some good football and have the players there to be able to put together a good challenge for things. And that's just lacking. That is lacking. Like, as a business, if you're looking at it as a business, you're probably looking like I said, at the stadium and everything else. Bang, Levy's a genius. But we're a football club first and foremost. The business side should always be second. Football should always be first. It's what it was built on. Was 11 men kicking a ball around. Football it was built on. The business should come second. And the thing is, if you concentrate on the football side and you put the football teams out to win things, the business will come with it. It's a natural thing. That will come with it. You will sell jerseys. You will gain more supporters. You will sell your stadium out week in, week out. The business side of it will come with it.
Yeah, I just think I think that's really well said. I would just maybe say to Dermot, it's just two different reigns of terror. It's just two different reigns of terror to a degree, but I think they've all sort of inherited, kind of the trend of just by no means, being just by no means being representative of it. Just after I get to Crocodox here, then Danny, then we can get to it. Crocodox saying, I respect the trust because of the stuff they've done for the fans on a smaller level. I think that's exactly what David was talking about earlier. Crocodox, you're on that same note right there. And he says, but evidently their influence on an executive level is limited. Crocodox, honestly, well done too, because it's exactly
was that
what
sentence
David,
when I was speaking. He could have said.
I was just going to say, Crocodox, you maybe just in, like I say, when sometimes it takes us a few paragraphs, you were able to put it in one sentence right there, exactly what we were saying. So Crocodox, really well done. Just to summarize, they've absolutely done maybe a lot of things on the smaller level, to help the fans, to make maybe the experience of all fans a whole lot better and a whole lot more representative. But then on the executive level, which is pretty much what we usually mostly think about, the things that really are more concerned to us, they by no means have ever done us right. And Crocodox, like I said, applause to you, because honestly, that is just so expertly and so efficiently said. So big yourself up, Crocodox. Really big yourself up. Yeah, Danny, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I was saying as well, to elaborate what I was saying as before as well, with the, I know Crocodox kind of summed it up brilliantly, like on a smaller scale, that's exactly what the supporters trust do. When it comes to the things that matter, they're useless, basically. And the other thing as well is that, I see it all the time on Twitter, fans always saying about how the stadium is the best in the world and this and that, and no one's denying that, but people need to understand, and this is the thing, Daniel Levy, right? Everything that guy does, he's got a different motive. He's got a secret motive behind everything he does, right? He always makes it out to look like he's doing it for the best of the club, for the best interest of the club, whatever he does. That's a load of bollocks, because he's built a multi-purpose sporting arena. Now, I don't know if you guys saw this on the other day. I think it was yesterday. The Spurs released it. But have you now seen that Tottenham Hotspur have been the first team to officially partner the NFL game Madden? Madden, the new Madden, right? I saw that. So they've now got Tottenham kits in a Madden NFL game, and they're the first club in the world in football to start venturing
cross
out
sports.
To cross sports. Now, it tells you everything what they're trying to do at Spurs. It really does. And if people can't see it, then I really feel sorry for you. Daniel Levy's got to, because I mean, it couldn't be more obvious if they were throwing it in your face. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I mean, they're trying to franchise Tottenham, right? They're trying to grow it to the point where they can sell it for a huge fee at some point. I'm not saying they're going to do that in 2 years, 10 years. It might not even be 20 years, but they will eventually sell it at some point. But it's just the fact that they built this with Tottenham at the back of the list of their at the back of their mind. They built this for NFL, for sporting events, for boxing matches and music concerts and all that kind of stuff, where they can really broaden the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium brand, right, to the world on a more global scale, because those type of things, for example, Guns N' Roses, Lady Gaga, Anthony Joshua, right, the NFL, they have got a bigger fan base than Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, right? That's the fact, right? Lady Gaga's got millions and millions and millions and millions of fans, right? More than, say, Tottenham would have. Same as Guns N' Roses. They're a global phenomenon band. Do you know what I mean? Like, everyone knows who Guns N' Roses are, right? Now, you put them in a Tottenham stadium, the publicity you get for that is just ridiculous. And that is what they're trying to do. They're trying to grow it so they can make money on that side of things, because they know Tottenham is the last thing they're going to make the money on. And that's why they don't give a fuck about reinvesting money that's made into the club. And this is what I mean by their different, their hidden agendas and hidden motives behind everything they do. And this is why the supporters' trust will always get turned down when they want to ask about what their long-term plans are and what their or the short to long-term plans are, because they don't give a fuck what the fans think. They don't care what we think. They don't care what the supporters' trust think, because they now. I'm gonna say my next bit of my answer when we get into the Paritici video, because I'm gonna leave it there for now. But yeah, when we get into that, that's what I want to explain a bit more.
Just quickly, Jack, you can just hover above that super chat there for 1 minute.
No problem.
Paddy Harnett here, big up Paddy Harnett. Hope things are well. He says the trusts have to be very careful as to when they ask to meet. The board have no obligation to meet them.
We'll get into that, Paddy. Really well said. Really well said, Paddy.
They don't, Dave. That I can tell you. They get zero perks, and to say they do so is wrong. Yeah, look, yeah, if they don't, I do apologize. I just said maybe they do. I said I wasn't sure. But there has to be something there if they don't want to, get to the bottom of some things. You can't deny that they.
I think you digressed at what saying it was a conspiracy or tinfoil kind of thing as well. So yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can't deny that they also do pick their moments when to make themselves look good too, Paddy. So fair is fair.
Yeah, honestly, and I think, when you do digress it with saying it's a conspiracy, you don't have to take it too seriously. But with Jerome saying, and this is interesting, he says, I agree with David. Levy should only look at the non-football side of Spurs, bring in revenue from the other side of the club, let Paritici run the football side. It's very funny that Jerome said this right before even Danny brought up the Madden NFL. So hopefully that was a decent payout. Even, the Madden thing, Jerome, made me think of how, that Ted Lasso show, I think the first rendition of it, take yourself back like 8 or 9 years ago, the first rendition of it was actually at Tottenham Hotspur, where it was like the first trial of that kind of show was done at Tottenham. So it's almost like maybe what Danny was touching on earlier, Jerome, about maybe him trying to franchise Tottenham, like try to make Tottenham this kind of sort of sellable entity, this sort of sellable brand. We almost to a degree we're seeing maybe the beginnings of that around 8 or 9 years ago, maybe when, Jason Sudeikis, that actor, came and, did basically the trial runs of Ted Lasso over at Spurs. And also I think Madden, the NFL are now maybe the final like stages of it all. But you might say, maybe there were hints of it or almost breadcrumbs of it happening around 8 or 9 years ago. Maybe plenty would say there were even better examples of it even longer ago than that. But I think that's really well said, Jerome. And I would say, let me know, Jerome. I feel like exactly what Danny was saying is maybe what Jerome is touching on here is they're trying to franchise it. They're trying to make it this sort of sellable kind of brand that, people like, Anthony Joshua for boxing can take advantage of. Lady Gaga can find, what's the best place to perform in the UK. Maybe it might become like some sort of, like maybe some food court or some food brand of some sort might become like, the big one and Spurs as well, like whatever, like pizza company or something like that. It just might be where Levy, hopefully to a degree, is trying to look at, the non-football side of Spurs. But then again, it's like he's already run this club into absolute just terror in the sense that he has the lowest net spend of any other club, and he's just continuing just to bring in revenue for himself. And as much as we would like to think these side revenues of things are doing things for the club, we haven't seen any of that revenue brought in from other things outside of Spurs being invested back into the club. But Jerome, I think that's really well said. I do think that's really well said. Anything to say to Jerome on this one, Dave?
Nah, look, big up, Jerome. I really appreciate the support, brother. I hope things are good down in Oz, my man. And look, like I've already said, just hand over the football inside, make sure most of the money goes to the playing squad or what adequately is needed, and then give Levy's money for his little pet projects after that. That's what I say. But big up, Jerome, man. I really appreciate the support. And everyone else, feel free to get in your super chats and help support myself and Jack. And it just means you skip the queue and we get straight to it, guys. But don't worry, I know not everybody is in a position to do that in the world. I know it's a big, bad world out there. So, of course, as much as I can, I will bring up everybody's comments on screen. Do not worry about that. The Irish Hotspurs got you covered.
COVID-99 saying, I respect the supporters' trust as much as a Punch and Judy show. They emerge from Tottenham Hotspur supporters meetings with statements you'd think that had been written by Levy himself. Yeah, I mean, that's maybe, again, what people are kind of touching on, where to a degree they kind of come in pre-prepared with questions that, have to be approved by whatever person under Levy, saying you can't ask him this, you can't ask him that, you can ask him this. And maybe that's where, like, whenever they come out with whatever statement that we've seen in the past, it's just some polished, cleaned up statement, to a degree that, Levy maybe even had to look at before they even released it. That could be even a potential theory as well, that Levy and the board have to approve of whatever statements or conclusions that they come out of for every meeting. I mean, Danny, really quickly, do you think that's a potential case? Is where, like, Levy, in fact, even maybe polishes some of the, the conclusionary kind of notes of every meeting?
Of course, they will tell the supporters trust the supporters trust
what they can take out of the meeting and say
yeah.
publicly.
Do you know? I was about to say. I was going to say they tell them what they want to hear, but in a way, they probably don't even do that, because what they want to hear is well, they want to hear the truth. Really, they want to hear exactly what's going on. But what they will only tell them what they feel is necessary to tell them. And that's probably not what anyone wants to hear, because it's usually kind of deviating from what the actual question is, or what they want to what the supporters trust ask. For example, so they'll say, like, so for example, I don't know, if they say, it kind of ties into Paritici's video, right? It really does. And it's like if they say, oh, what's the short to medium term kind of aims of the club, or what's the vision? Where do you want to go? And then it's like, oh, well, yeah, we want to build a team. Oh, okay then. Okay, so what does that mean? Oh no, we just want to build a team. We want to build a really good competitive team. It's like,
who doesn't?
It's like,
yeah,
it's like it's kind of like leaving the answer kind of so broad that you've got no idea what the fuck they actually are thinking. And that's because they don't want to give you a specific, because they don't have a specific plan that's gonna keep the fans happy, because we know deep down what they really want, but what the fans really want is glory, trophies, and that kind of stuff, and competing again at the top of the table. But is that really what they really want? I don't think so. So
it's just it's easy to write it down, but it's harder, much, like,
yeah,
like the classic saying goes. It really is, it's so much harder, to do than it is to say. And I don't know, like, I think COVID-99 is really onto something there, where I actually do think that they practically pre-approve of things that they even, like a notes from a meeting, they have to, almost filter down maybe what was said and what was asked. And then even what is concluded from the meeting that they can say publicly, they have to filter it. They have to clean it up and make it look like it's not too damaging to the club. I mean, to a degree, makes sense. That Levy would want it that way. It's pretty horrible that it is that way, because it by no means then is representative of us. But big yourself up, Kuva. Really, really big yourself up.
I do want to just add, like, look,
yeah,
if like with the case of them, the board doesn't exactly have to meet them. Yeah, okay, there is some sort of where you do kind of have to, play your cards right and, make shrewd moves and stuff like that. But then, at the same time, get on board with the protest, organize a protest the fans can get behind, that, make a mass movement that, look, you should be meeting with us fans once a month or whatever it is. You should be doing it. Look, the way it is now, it's all cozy. So basically, they have the meeting with the board. The board tell them pre-approve what they can and can't answer. So then you're just hearing horse shit. Let's be honest with you. You're just hearing, look, like I said, I don't want to disrespect the good things they do, because there is a lot of good things they do, right? But apart from that, you're just hearing the same things that the club can be putting out themselves. Like,
and at the moment, the executive stuff is what people are most concerned about. So maybe that's where the fire is under their, that's why the fire is under them, right?
Yeah.
There it is. And really, I think that's really spot on from Kuva, actually. And Kuva99, big yourself up, as well as Jerome. Big yourself up, of course. William Kelly, really do big yourself up as well. Hope you're keeping well. Really do hope you're keeping well. The light work here saying, who's going to replace Kane's son, Lucas and Hugo N? Maybe bringing us a bit back to football here. Might just quickly answer this one, light work. Who's going to replace Kane? It looks like Dusan Vlahovic is not signing that, Fiorentina contract. So I'm just going to be whispering in his ear. I am the itch whisperer along with Shamu. So we will be bringing him in. And with Sonny Lucas, I don't think anybody's going to be replacing those two because they're not leaving. And then Hugo is definitely staying. So maybe I misread this light work, but if you are to ask who's replacing Kane, certainly maybe the Dusan Vlahovic, potentially, I would say him, unless I misread that. But Tottenham tantrum here with the super sticker, and it's a big 100, David. So really, that's probably maybe what we at least need, in terms of investment this upcoming January transfer window. So big yourself up, Dermot. Really big yourself up. Yeah, David.
Yeah, just big yourself up, Dermot. Just quickly, Paddy Harnett is saying, he says, no pre-prepared questions, but some stuff can't be out in the open because at the end of the day, it's business, like it or not. So it is kind of like what we're saying. There, it comes out what's allowed to come out, and then the bottom line is the fans are the only ones who can really make change. Having 50 at a protest won't do anything. So until you have a massive protest, then nothing will change. And this is my point, Paddy. Why doesn't the Supporters Trust organise something that everyone can get behind? For instance, that the club need to be speaking to the fans more, once a month, organise protests about all that sort of crap. They will get the people behind it, but they have to hop on board. That's the problem. They can't just pick and choose what they want to do and invite things. If they want to go down that route and start, because at the end of the day, they're supposed to be the arm that we're supposed to trust to be able to talk to the board.
Right.
But they have to make moves to be able to bend the board's arm as well. You know what I mean? To be able to get to do more stuff out of them. And that's the thing with that as well. That's all I'm going to say on that. Yeah, sorry, but we'll keep moving. Sorry,
No, you're not. I was going to add to that, and that goes into the points that we both made, Dave, about how the Supporters Trust have got deeper ties within the club that probably won't allow them to do what we all want them to do. Cheers, Cody. Do you know what I mean? Like it's because look, if they really were the fans' voice, right? I think the majority of fans would probably want to do a protest, and if the Supporters Trust were actually organizing like protests, like every home game or every NFL game, or etc., then I'm sure that more people would be involved in it. Because it's coming from them, but there's a reason why they're not doing that, and that's because of the ties in the club that they have, and they don't want to lose what they have with them right now. And if they do that, then it's like completely see you later. We don't care about you anymore, and that's what it is. And it's like
isn't it supposed to be kind of like a fans union, and that's kind of
it's kind of supposed to be.
But with the union, a union is supposed to be separate from any sort of connection with the club, right, Danny?
Well, yeah, you say that, but it's like anything. It's like anything in business, isn't it? You keep do you know what I mean? It's like
keep your enemies closer in that regard.
It is, and it's like
well treated.
They obviously want them there for a reason, and I think the reason is so that they can use them to kind of as a kind of deflector, so that the fans kind of also have a go at them rather than the club as well. Because it's like if they don't look like they're doing anything, then the fans are going to be like, well, what's the point of them? They go fuck yourself, sort of thing. But that's how I see it. And for me, Supporters Trust, it's like when they had that meeting where they wanted to discuss the fan representation on the board, and we never heard anything after that, what happened and stuff like that. It's like Daniel Levy probably said, right, okay, then what we'll do is, guys, we'll give you a free season ticket or a box ticket for you for the whole season. How about that? Is that all right then, guys? Will that keep you happy? And they're like, yeah, of course. And they, do you know what I mean? It's that kind of shit that goes on, and it's like that costs him nothing really, but then it shuts the Supporters Trust up. So then they don't really ask the questions we really want to know, or they don't get a chance to, because then Daniel Levy come back. Do you remember our deal? Yeah, do you remember our deal? It's like the Harry Kane agreement. Do you know what I mean? The handshake agreement that he didn't have on writing.
Isn't it maybe? I mean, this is where we can get on to the next question here, David. And I think that's a great point brought up by Danny. But the club have just restated publicly recently that its doors remain open, in fact, to the Supporters Trust. But maybe considering last season with the Super League fiasco, where the Supporters Trust, in fact, they wanted to meet with the board, but then actually pulled back and decided not to do it, maybe because the conditions of the meeting weren't right, etc. Who knows in that case. But now that the Levy and the board have refused this time to meet with the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust when they asked, does this maybe just signify that when they were saying, oh, our doors are in fact open, it's just another kind of meaningless statement to maybe to a degree kind of blind the fans, in that regard, to maybe just take pressure off themselves? Is it just kind of, we have to realize a lot of maybe statements that do come from Daniel Levy and the board when it comes to their openness with the supporters trust, it's really just paper talk at the end of the day.
Of course it is. Everything they put out is paper talk. The Paritici thing was put out before the days before the supporters trust released their statement.
Correct.
But they knew, make no mistake about it, the club knew the supporters trust were releasing that statement the next day.
Yeah.
So they put that video out there to try and smooth the fans over.
It's all planned, isn't it?
Just like they were willing to meet with the supporters trust over the Super League, because it's like, look, we're speaking to our supporters. We're trying to have dialogue with our supporters. It's a pissing contest. Each side is going to use different things that happen to try and further gain, what would I say, not their control, but their popularity with the mass of fans. Like, you look, the supporters just came out after the Arsenal game. They picked that moment specifically to try and repair the damaged reputation from refusing to sit down with the board after the Super League fiasco. Both sides are doing it. And look, it's just, look, you know what the board, look, what was that massive thing put in the pre-match program before the Aston Villa game last year, which we lost? All this thing about supporters and everything else, we need you guys, this, that, and the other. The video they put out over the manager search and what Daniel Levy's ambition was and the Tottenham DNA and all this sort of crack. Has any of it come true? Have they tried to like anything that we've read or that we've watched? Has any of it actually happened? No. It's a reoccurring theme. The board will always, and it's the same with any big company around the world, any government, they know, like, they will always try and hop on something and damage or reduce the damage or the fallout of what's to come. They'll always do it. That's how these companies work, all massive companies, and that's how Daniel Levy works as well with Tottenham. They will release something, like for instance, the whole thing with the manager, the video that came out, that was literally put out to try and appease people. That's all it was. He's never going to do anything he said in it. He couldn't give a shit. The questions were all pre-planned on what was going to be asked and everything else. He already had the answers for days.
Yeah, of course it was.
He put that out because he knew fans were getting upset. Look, they both do it. Both sides do it. And for me, I just can't trust both, to be honest. I cannot put my trust in both. Imagine having a supporters trust you can't trust. It's literally in their name.
Yeah, I think that's also really, honestly, it is well brought up by Kuva. He is a brilliant man of words, and I think that's what Kuva was saying earlier. So really, I think, David, I completely agree. He just brought it up in a comment, and I think that's exactly it. It's just the fact that it is a supporters trust that, in fact, is not representative or any way supportive of the actual fans. And when that's the case, there certainly is a huge problem at work. Lightwork again saying in 4 years we need new recruitment for players. I think that's definitely the case. Lightwork, I think that's definitely the case. We always need recruitment. I mean, the fact that, again, maybe keeping this on Levy and Enoch, Lightwork, speak of that, summer where we didn't invest at all. Every single summer you at least need to invest and regenerate the squad somehow. I mean, there's no club this size that by no means should never invest or think that, they just are plenty fine with no investment in the summer. That just really speaks to it. And so there should be absolute investment even before I think that 4 years comes up, Lightwork. But moving on, Danny, and do you feel like this is kind of a scary thought, Danny? This is a bit of a scary thought, but do you feel like Enoch and Levy simply believe that the fans' money, our money, as they call us consumers, is always guaranteed? Like, do they really think that, no matter how horribly they treat us, Danny, they just know that, we're always going to come right back to them and continue to give us or can continue to give them our money in the way that we do? Is that kind of maybe the scary thought, is that no matter how horribly we're treated, they just know that our money is guaranteed and they know that we're going to continue to generate them revenue?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, it's like what they've done. They've done some bullshit stuff this season already. I mean, like, for example, right, the Aston Villa game, right? They were offering like 5 tickets per member, right? And and the funny thing was, there was a lot of fans who I knew who were season ticket holders, right? And what they did was they closed off the ticket exchange. So the people who actually say couldn't go to the game, for example, wanted to sell the ticket, they wouldn't even allow them to sell the ticket, so they couldn't even make their money back. And what they did was, like a day before the actual game, they reopened it again. And it's like, it's ridiculous. It's like, and the worst thing is the stadium didn't sell out anyway. It was like, there was like 53,000 fans in there, and that's nearly 10,000 fans that weren't in there nearly.
That's a good example. Yeah.
So this is sort of bullshit stuff that they do, and it's like they try to do things to like how do I say, appease people and stuff like that, but it's all for their own sick, sadistic ways of how they think and how they want to run their business, essentially, because they don't care about what us fans, do you know what I mean? And they never have done. And it's like they know that they're gonna get at least 50,000 fans in the stadium, because at the end of the day, so once you bought your season ticket, that's it. Your season ticket is paid for, right? So they have a certain amount of seats that they will sell to the members, and then the rest of general public, right? And etc. etc. Now, what the funny thing is, it's like when they do things like that, where they close off ticket exchanges to stop the actual people who have bought season tickets from selling their ticket because they genuinely cannot go. It's a disgrace, and it's like people still going to buy merchandise. I know. The thing is, I bought a shirt myself as well because I wanted to, and I like that shirt anyway. But the one is one person, right? One person's not going to make a difference. It'd have to be like the whole fan base, everyone in the world who, all the season ticket holders shouldn't have. Well, they should stop buying season tickets. Essentially, that's the only way it's really going to change. And I can't see that happening. And there's got to be the only other ways they're going to be able to do it is like if say, for example, fans go into the games and then all the fans walk out, or half the stadium walks out, sort of thing. That if something like that was to happen every game, then that's going to be shown globally. Now, that's not a good look for sponsorships and partners and stuff like that. That's really not a good look, because that's going to be globalized, well, on TV, etc., like that. And it's just, yeah, I don't know.
Like, isn't that maybe it's just one of those things though, where it's like, to a degree, it's like certain corporations that are just so big that they just know no matter how horribly maybe they hurt the planet, no matter how much, maybe they hurt their consumers, Danny. I guess the point and the question is that to a degree they know that you're always just going to be crawling back to them no matter how much you hate them, no matter how much you don't want to give them money. We inevitably will, and maybe they've to a degree horribly and devilishly have figured that out.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. It's just, yeah, no matter what, they're never going to change the ways they do things, because they know now, especially now the stadium's being built, which is what they were planning for. It was so that they could make sure that if Tottenham were not competing in Champions League, that they could make money elsewhere, which is why they do the boxing matches, the music festivals, and all that kind of crap, right? And then NFL as well, because they know that they don't want to put money into the club, into the team, the football team, because they don't have ambitions to win trophy. Their ambitions are to make money, right? So that's why they want to put the most minimal amount of money that is made by the club into the football team, so that if they get lucky, then they hit the jackpot by getting into Champions League places, and they'll spend a minimal amount to try and retain that. But even more so now, I know obviously we know how much money they can make in the Champions League, but it probably won't affect them as much, because they now know that they're trying to expand the Tottenham brand by their other streams, other money income streams, and that's probably why they don't give a shit even more about the fans now. I mean, like, for example, since ENIC have taken over, they've not once wanted to have, say, a statue of a legend outside the stadium or something like that, because they don't want to keep it football. They don't want to make it like a show the love of the football, because they don't love football. They love money. That is what they love.
Detracts from the property value for them.
Yeah, probably does.
I just want to clear something up quickly, Mark. No one is asking you to give up your season ticket. Believe me. Look, look, I was telling people, renew your season tickets. I get it. People have been waiting 10+ years to get a season ticket. take a season ticket. Never give it up, my man.
Yeah.
Some season tickets have been through generations. By no means, never ever give it up. I think what we're saying is if we do ever want, look, we do want them out, but if people are serious about it, that's what needs to happen. But in no way is anybody here asking you to give up season tickets.
Yeah, no way. Like, look, even me, Mark, I'm a season ticket holder. Look, we are Tottenham TV boys are season ticket holders. We love the club. We want to watch our team every week in, week out. That's what we want to do. But it's just what I'm saying is that if fans were to actually want to do something by, say, for example, half the stadium walking out, that is a statement in itself. And if that was to happen, say, every game, right, then what it does, it affects their partners and stuff, Tottenham's partners and people who sponsor them, because it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good for the corporate people they have in the boxes and stuff like that. And people, like, could you imagine you have like some really important people who potentially want to sponsor the stadium, for example, in the stadium, and half the stadium walk out? It doesn't look good, because then it's like it looks like there's
how do you
problems.
Explain that?
Yeah, how do you explain? How does Levy explain that? And that's the thing. That's where people can show it. It's like what Brian Daigle's been trying to do, organize the NFL stuff for tomorrow. And I think it starts at 11 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken, in the morning tomorrow, the protest. So if anyone wants to do something about it, then tomorrow could be a brilliant start, because this is where it can really hurt people, or hurt Levy, should we say, because they are the amount of money that's tied into this NFL stuff. If all the cameras from around the world are on the Tottenham Stadium tomorrow, they're going to have like cheerleaders in the Tottenham shop and all this stuff to try and attract more and more cameras and more people. If you have a protest of thousands of people, say, for example, because of the Tottenham side of things and the football side of things, it doesn't look good for the sponsors. So that's where you have to kind of really affect it.
I just want to add just a small bit to what was being said there. And Cody is kind of along the lines of what I was going to say is they do have the advantage, and they are taking the piss, because the thing is, right, the loyal fan base, we have to remember this, the loyal fan base is what the brands are buying into, the likes of Dulux and everything else, because they want their whole idea of them sponsoring Tottenham and giving them money and everything else is that Tottenham fans will go and buy Dulux paint. Not only that, the fact that they can advertise their product across the world on through Spurs playing on TV, all that sort of stuff as well. Right, then you're talking about the NFL, the concerts. That's to generate more money, right? Can they survive without the fans' money? It's a two-way street, you know. It's a two-way street. It'd be very interesting to see. Me personally, I don't think so. I think they need the sales from the club shop. I think they need the season ticket money. I think they need the money that's generated in and around the game per match day. I believe it's over 1 million per match day in and around the stadium. But at the same time, like, and as well, they need us fans to be able to be paying for the TV, like for the Sky, for the BT, NBCSN or whatever it is over there, Jack. They need us to be paying for these, because that all filters back to clubs too. They all get their share and profit out of it too. So the thing is, they may not necessarily 100% rely on our money, but they need us to be able to sell their product. And that's the thing. They will not sell an empty stadium or a team with no loyal following that's just filled with corporate people. They won't be able to sell that product. They're selling Tottenham as a product, as the brand. And the fans and the loyal fans and the passion come with that. And that's a massive part of being able to bring in brands and everything else. And like I said, if you don't buy the TV, the stuff for the TV rights for the games and that, well then, so look, they may not necessarily 100% need our money as much as they used to, but they need us fans, and don't ever forget that.
They certainly do. And I think Cody's on a good point here, where it's almost like taking an advantage. It's like, to a degree, we all have an addiction to Spurs, and that's what they're taking advantage of. We'll pay any price, and they know that. That's what they're figuring out, is that we'll pay any price to get into the matches. We'll pay any price to watch it on TV. We'll do practically anything, and that's what they're taking advantage of. And it's a really sad thought to think about it that way, Cody. It's just, you would think, as much as they're already making ridiculous profit off of us, they're now just realizing that, wait a minute, these guys will just pay. They're the most complacent fans in the world. They'll just pay anything to just see their team play. And instead of realizing, that that's a good thing, they're actually taking advantage of that, which is just sickening.
Like, for Jesus Christ, we have the most expensive league in the ticket in the league, and we have the most expensive jersey in the league. You know what I mean? They're taking us for a ride. They're absolutely taking us for a ride for the shit they're producing on the pitch. They're taking us for a complete ride. But unfortunately, we know as fans, we're going to keep going back. It's that simple.
But you know why it is, Dave? Is because we love our club. That's why we love Tottenham.
Even the people that are the most ENIC out, Levy out, the likes of Dagan and stuff like that, they know they're still going to go to games. That's the thing. They know that. Brian, he comes home, his first time home in about, since he's gone to Canada, I believe? No?
1 or 2 years, 2 years, I think it was.
In a long time. Now, the guy loves Tottenham. Of course he's going to go to a game when he's home. And they know that. And they take advantage of that, unfortunately.
Yep. Spot.
There you are.
Like
I think that's a good
point.
I
want the owners out, but I'm still going to pay to go over to a game. You know what I mean?
We'll still do anything.
They know that. They're going to take the advantage of it. They just know it's going to happen, because at the end of the day, your loyalty and your love for the club is way more than how much you hate them. And it's the facts. It's the truth of the matter.
That is literally it. And that is where they abuse us. And they take the piss out of us. That is literally where they target. They target that love for our love for that club, and that's the sad reality of it, unfortunately.
Yeah, and William Kelly here is saying, and this is actually an interesting thought when I think about it. The more big takeovers happen, maybe similar to Newcastle, let's say even maybe smaller size ones, the more pressure will be put on ENIC. I think that's actually very logical, actually, when I think about it, because considering the size of this club, considering how huge this fan base is, how international this fan base is, if more clubs get taken over, to a degree, I already think the Premier League is the Super League, Danny. I already think it is, becoming the Super League to an extent. If that just continues to go down that spiral, continues to go down that path, then you would probably say that means that ENIC, to a degree, would have to maybe look at themselves and realize we either need to sell up, or we need to realize that, we're going to continue to get even more pressure, even more hate, even more scrutiny, and probably even more, hatred in the stadium, and even probably more fear factor from the fans as well. And that might be a real reality for them. And to a degree, as much as, the Newcastle takeover is going to hurt us and is going to make our job a lot harder getting in the top four, simultaneously, you could also, not really a blessing in disguise, but more or less a version of it, where it is absolutely putting pressure on maybe ENIC and Levy. And I think that's where it maybe connects to also the fact that one of the worst chairmen, Mark Ashley, is now gone, kind of does now make you think that, there aren't many maybe as horrible chairman left as Daniel Levy, and Mark Ashley was maybe the one that was closest, to him. And you'd think about it that way, now they're kind of in their lonesome of evilness, if you would agree with that.
Well, do you know what, with William Kelly's comment here, right? The more big takeovers happen, the more pressure would put under ENIC. Yeah, you could definitely say that. I definitely agree with that, because obviously they know it becomes harder for them. I mean,
to convince us.
Well, yeah, exactly. And this is the thing. And it's like, I don't know if anyone's seen the reports about Daniel Levy is one of the ones driving behind the angry reaction from Premier League clubs due to this Newcastle takeover, and they want to have this sit down with the Premier League and all this kind of shit. But it doesn't mean anything, because at the end of the day, it's happened, it's done. It means absolutely nothing. The Premier League can't do anything. The Premier League agreed a deal with the group that took over Newcastle after the issue the issue that the consortium had with, is it BN Sports or whatever it was?
That's all it was.
And as soon as that was settled, of course, money settles everything, as it always does, right? In any business in the world, right? As soon as that was settled, the Premier League got their payoff and their deal agreed, and they probably would have got their bits of money from the deal as well, so it could go through. I guarantee you, there's no way in hell that there was no money involved in any of these transactions. And if anyone thinks that there was no money involved, then you're all deluded, because business, that is how it works. How do you think Man City and Chelsea and PSG get away with all the shit that they get away with? Money talks. Money gets you anything. That's the sad reality of how the world works, and how business works. And why do you think FIFA and UEFA are the most corrupt corporation, on the planet? Like Jack said, FIFA's a non-profit organization. How do you think they make their money? Corrupt as fuck. That's the thing.
The
So
thing
it's
is,
just like
with the Newcastle owner, the issue was to do with some illegal streaming rights or illegal streams and that over in Saudi Arabia.
correct.
And once they agreed to sort that out and that, they would pay for the broadcasting rights, that's when all of a sudden, go ahead and take over Newcastle.
Yeah.
They couldn't give a shit about the human rights issues or anything like that.
Of course not.
At the end of the day, we have to understand this. All the elite people in the world couldn't give a crap about human rights or anything like that. They never do. At the end of the day, that Danny's right. It's all about that. It doesn't matter.
The elite are the ones exploiting in human rights.
It doesn't matter what
you know what, Dave, as well.
People have their price and they're going to take it. And these people have the money to pay it. And that's unfortunate. But big up William Kelly, no matter.
It's a great comment, man.
I do think it will put a lot more pressure on Enoch. Look, I was hoping to get a bit into that today. We might have to leave it to next week. I'm not sure. Maybe we will be able to touch on it. But look, all I'm going to say is it's massive problems for us, and I have a lot of reasons why, and I don't really want to give them away until we do get onto it. But big up William Kelly, my man. Really appreciate it. First of all, everyone, there's over 190 people watching right now. Make sure you are absolutely smashing that like button. There's only 87 likes. There should be a lot more than that. Make sure you're smashing that subscribe button if you are new. I see a couple of new faces in the chat. And look, guys, why not send in a super chat or two to help support us? And it skips you to the very, very top of the queue. But big up William Kelly, my man. Really appreciate it. And Faz Radfar says, big up. Do we have the worst chairman in the league?
Now that Ashley is gone, I guess that's what I was touching on, Faz. I mean, I wouldn't know, but I think that's when, since Ashley's been gone, you would probably say it's a no contest. To a degree, it's probably a no contest at this rate. I mean, there's no club of our size, of our international fan base, that have, I mean, we already have the lowest net spend out of anybody. So that's pretty damning in itself. But I think you also then take into the fact that we are practically the largest club with the lowest net spend, maybe in Europe's top 5 leagues. You might even make the argument that for a club our size, it's the worst chairman in Europe's top 5 leagues in Europe in general. I mean, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Now that Ashley is gone, I think it's just confirmed it. It's a no contest.
I'm gonna answer it here, and then we'll move on with the next question. But Mike Ashley has left Newcastle with a bigger net spend than Tottenham Hotspur.
Yep.
So there's your answer. There's your answer, and that's shocking.
Mic drop
Over the last 5 years.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Yep.
So look, let's move on. Keep it moving. A big up Phil the Tis is in the house.
Big up Philip Latis. I think this ties in. William Kelly, let's go to this again. Yeah. Actually, really, really like what William Kelly's been having to say. He says, all we need to get rid of Enoch is a big takeover at the Gooners that would put the cat amongst the pigeons. That's a really good point, William Kelly. I'm actually not even sure how to respond to that. I think that would probably just, that would maybe reach the stage where, we would find, Tottenham Hotspur fans, probably not letting the bus in, wouldn't even let maybe Levy's car, into the building as well. Probably wouldn't even allow them into his own stadium when you think about it that way. And what do you guys think? I mean, David, maybe first, then Danny, if that were to happen, if some major takeover, were to happen for the scum. I mean, would that maybe to a degree, if there's already been so many final straws, but would that be the final straw?
First of all, I wouldn't go to that level. I'd never wish that sort of nice thing to happen to that club. Never, ever, ever would I. And plus, it'd kill me. But what I would do is it'd put Daniel Levy in, I wouldn't say an untenable position, but it'd leave him very, very wide open because from the media, from the pundits, if they're ever talking about Tottenham Hotspur, because you've built the stadium, we've got ahead of Arsenal, and then all of a sudden, a few years down the line after reaching a Champions League final, you're far behind them and you can never catch up, and it's due down to your lack of investment in the squad. Fans won't be happy. Fans will be in uproar, and they will go mad. And Daniel Levy will be scrutinised more than ever. But I can never, ever wish that for Arsenal, ever, to get that sort of money and get taken over, because that will kill me. That will kill me.
Let's see them get it first as
Look,
well.
make no mistake about it. Their owners right now have the money to spend. I'm just grateful that they're measly tight asses, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and also they're incompetent with it as well. They're absolutely incompetent with it. I mean, Danny, what about for you? Would that be something that's just horrible to think about for you, so you don't want to consider it? But maybe just to give, a bit of credit, I think, to William Kelly, I think he's actually onto something here. Would that be maybe the worst situation of all? Would be then if the Gooners were to have some sort of takeover before us?
Well, the good thing
I
is,
guess David though did say they already have plenty of money at their disposal, but
well, the thing
let's
is
say they
that
would have some Saudi
their
takeover.
owner owns what's the team he owns in the baseball team he owns? I can't remember the team, the Cronky who he owns now.
I know that I know Liverpool, what teams they own and what Man United owns. I'm not sure about Arsenal.
Well, I know he owns a lot, right? He owns a lot of different sports clubs and stuff like that in different sports. So there's no way he's going anywhere anytime soon, right? Which is good. The only thing is with him is they do spend money, Arsenal, but they spend it on the wrong players. So long may that continue, first of all. And I don't think that they're going to sell anytime soon because that guy's got too much money. And also the fact that when Usmanov was there, he had a smaller share in Arsenal's shares, basically, right? Now, he is twice as rich as Abramovich. He's worth nearly £20 billion, right? But Abramovich is worth about 9 to 10. Now, this is a guy who tried to buy out Kroenke, right? And he was having none of it. And the reason why, because he knows how much money he can make at Arsenal Football Club, right? Yep. And how he can, and he's going to probably start doing the same kind of things Tottenham are doing. Everyone's going to take note of what Tottenham are doing. Mark my words, people. Why do you think Daniel Levy got put on the on that board, the European, European something board, whatever it was?
Because he knows how to make money.
Yeah, because he knows how to make money. And as soon as Tottenham start doing all this kind of stuff, other teams will start doing it in their own ways. And he's obviously an American businessman, so he's going to know how to franchise a sport or a team. So it won't be long before other teams start kind of venturing into like NFL, and maybe not obviously having NFL matches at their stadiums because they probably won't be able to do that. But in the respect where they can do other kind of things there with the NFL and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a matter of time, and there's no way that he's going to sell. So if I'm honest, I'd probably say he's probably worse than Daniel Levy, because he don't give a fuck about the club as well. He just wants to make money. It's just the same way. But
I'm delighted for them, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so am I.
Just to see them cry and the pain they go through every day. Honestly, it's absolutely brilliant. Honestly, I get out of bread, and it just gives me that big smile knowing that they're sitting there and they're just, especially because from the heights they've gone to from my year of my age, from the heights they've gone to what they are now, and how cocky they were to where they are now. It's absolutely refreshing to see.
I mean, David, my generation, especially, maybe a bit younger, like I've always made fun of Scum fans for, is that they weren't even alive or born, during the trophies and, the teams that they're talking about. That's what I find funny is actually my era, and this is depressing, is my era of Spurs have actually been a whole lot better than Arsenal's when you think about it. And that's maybe just horrible to think about, but that's where it is. They've really shot themselves, maybe more than shot themselves in the foot. I mean, they've capitulated themselves since then, really, Arsenal.
No, they have 100%, but it's great to see. But look, we've three super chats to get to, so why don't we take one each, guys?
Absolutely. Brian C., the philosopher, Brian C. Socrates, saying, lads, it's hard to know how to best put pressure on the board. Protests are difficult to organize with many fans overseas. Using social media can be another way, but would need to be all Spurs fans uniting under one banner. Brian, I think, again, as always, you're a very logical guy. What I might say is protests can be very effective. It's just these are now a lot of protests now are happening during the pandemic, which when you think about it, during the pandemic, a lot of people are very afraid to go outside. It's actually, even dangerous for plenty to go outside. And that's, been a big hindrance, I think, to any sort of protests. You also have to consider that in this case, a lot of people really hate Levy and Enoch, and a lot of people really hate this board, but it's not so, just unanimous in that feeling. It's not so unanimous in that passion for that hate and that passion for that complete distrust. And that's also maybe a bit of a problem, as it takes a lot for someone to protest. It really, really does. It takes a lot. You have to really be passionate towards it. You have to really be united in one cause towards it. And so standing outside and, in the rain, the snow, or, even waking up early and just being, putting yourself out there on the line takes a lot. And, a lot of people even have never protested in their entire lives, you might say as well. So you consider it's just, as much as it's hard to say, it is kind of difficult to organize protests. And anybody that does, it's real brave. And it's also incredibly powerful as well. I still think protests, they are your human right. It's a right that no one can take away from you. And it's also one that you should always exercise. But at the same time, you have to think about it. And like, a lot of people are starting to lose touch with that. A lot of people are starting to lose touch with that human right of theirs. And especially during the pandemic, I think it's just been really difficult to get people to exercise those sort of things. And maybe social media is the other way, like you're saying. But then again, social media is such a horribly toxic place that, you would then consider that, how much power does social media really have? I think it has plenty of power in educating people, social media. I think, there are plenty of ways in, making people, find, the right political avenues, the right way to lean a certain way when it comes to politics or whatnot in social media. But there's only so much social media can do. And so it's almost kind of a two-pronged effort to a degree, actually. And you need social media to be behind it, and you need protest to be behind it. And at the moment, we kind of sort of don't really have either. And we don't really have either completed fully. And I will say, though, I do think protests are very, very, very powerful, and people must still recognize that it is your human right, and it is a right that no one should slander, because it's the one human right that everybody has in this world that, should definitely not be slandered or taken away from you. So Brian C. Socrates, though, I think that's really well said. And especially in the case of Enoch, we just don't all feel the exact same way about it. So it's really hard to get everybody, up and motivated to do it in the way that needs to be done. So unless I'm missing something, guys, here, I think, Brian C., again, like always, really, really, honestly, really, really well said.
No, big up Socrates. What a man. What a legend. And William Kelly says, I'm different, whatever it takes to get them out and gone. No, look, at the end of the day, each their own. I'm never going to sit here ever and tell someone how they should support the club. Everyone supports their club in different ways. Just me personally, William, all I was saying is, my man, is that me, I couldn't wish that sort of good luck on them. I really couldn't, man. That's just all. That's where I'm at. But I can see your point. To be honest with you,
he's been through a lot.
This is the thing, right? William, he's probably, maybe, I presume he's a bit older than me. And look, he's probably been through more with Tottenham, and he's probably got to that point. But funny enough, William, I was only saying something to Jack earlier on when we were talking a bit about this, when we were putting the show together, that, look, maybe Jack, I can't remember exactly what Jack said, but he said something, and I was like, look, maybe add another 10 years onto that, Jack. And then he was like, yeah, I suppose, yeah, I can see where you're coming from. So, look, William, I get you, my man. I get you. Just me personally, I couldn't wish that good luck on them, but I get it, William. I really do get it, my man. You are to the end of your tether, and I fully get that, my man. What a man. What a man, William. What a boy.
David, maybe you take this one, from Brian C., or would you like me to read it aloud?
No, go on.
Yeah, take each one at a time.
No, go on, Jacko. You take it.
I think he's saying example tips, example tips. Yeah. Team investment, please, Spurs. If hundreds of thousands of fans spam Spurs official Twitter /email once a day for a month under one number, it may gain or under one hashtag, it may gain traction plus media attention. Or am I a Spurs fan clutching at straws? Listen, I think that's a perfect example of maybe, to a degree, they were feeling the pressure, actually, Brian C., during the Levy out, Enoch out. It had its strongest movement during the Super League. It really did. And they were absolutely, in my opinion, feeling the pressure from it. And they just probably, to a degree, knew that it would blow over. They kind of knew that, they kind of would just kind of almost kind of huddle in their their beautiful caves and kind of just wait for kind of the wave to go over. And now, to a degree, they might think that they've emerged from it kind of unscathed. But I think when you think about it, Brian C., it's just pretty much exactly, to a degree, what people were doing during the Super League fiasco. If we were to do that with the same sort of intensity, the same sort of venom, you might think that actually would probably, again, be the best way to get through to them. And I think it still has to be tied hand in hand with protests. But I really do think social media, we're forgetting sometimes how powerful social media can be. Of course, it can be a toxic place, but it also is the place where the entire world can connect. The entire world can unite under one message. It can be against racism. It can be against misogyny, sexism. It can be against, protecting the environment. It can be something that we can all unite under, no matter where we come from, no matter what backgrounds we have. And when you think about it that way, I think it is actually a very, very powerful tool. And it is, again, our tool. It is our tool. It's the common person's tool, is social media. So if we are, again, under the one hashtag Enoch out, the one hashtag Levy out, maybe, again, bring our Tottenham back would be another one as well. That will get to them. Believe me, that will get to them, because I firmly believe that they were very nervous over the Super League fiasco. They were very nervous over that era. And I do think they didn't recognize how powerful the fans could be in social media. And Brian C., I think exactly what you're saying here. I personally think it would work. I don't think you're clutching at straws. I really do think it would work. What are your thoughts on that, guys?
Look, we'll let Danny in. Danny, you have your thoughts on this one, my man.
Could social media be more powerful than we think? Kind of similar to the Super League, Danny? I think you're on mute.
Oh yeah, sorry about that.
No.
I think it can be, but look, I'm gonna be brutally honest here, right? Now, we've had a number of protests. Now I know of the protests that we've arranged. It's kind of been like, the first one was kind of a very last minute kind of thing. It was at a time where people were still at work and all that kind of stuff, so it was hard to organize. The one that Ben did, right? And then obviously I know we've had other ones as well, where we had the one on the weekend before, the day before the Villa game last season. And obviously we know how that turned out. Now, they tried to do one again at the Villa game this season, and again, hardly anyone turned up, unfortunately. I know Brian was there, and there were some people there. Now, the biggest one they've tried to arrange at the moment is the one that's planned for tomorrow and next week. Now, I think it's going to be a telling story to see what happens and how it turns out. And I pray that the people do end up going. And I know Brian in the background has been trying to get this arranged. So it can be a very good turnout, put it that way. But from what I've seen so far, and I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow, is that there's too many Tottenham fans that will say and talk, but won't act upon it. And for me, it just shows that there's a lot of fans that couldn't really care less, to be honest with you. And they don't care enough to want to try and do something, because they maybe believe that it won't change anything. And that's probably why they're where their thoughts are coming from, where it's like, oh, do you know what? I can't bother to do this. It's not going to do anything. So what's the point, sort of thing? And that's maybe some of the people's mindsets are, and why maybe people don't want to do it. And it's also probably just laziness. And I just think there's a lot of, I mean, look, for me, I've never seen such a diverse split fan base before in all my years of supporting Spurs. Yeah. It's been more split than I've ever seen it, ever. And you've had people even saying it, like when they went through the people who are a bit older than us, who went through like the scholar years and the sugar years. But obviously I was a kid going through the sugar years. So the people who went through that, they were even saying like the fan base was not as split as it is now. And that's a telling story. Like it honestly is. And when you've got a fan base that is so split, so there's so many people that are kind of Levy on the fence, or and like they just want him to change and they don't really want him out. And that's where there's not enough traction on these kind of things, because I just think there's not enough fans that really care about what's going on, or enough to really change anything, because they're not sure whether Levy is good or not, or they might have doubts of if we get someone else in, is he going to be better or is he going to be worse?
I think, Danny, do you know what I think? Do you know why I think the numbers haven't been there? Because I think the more fans that want Enoch out are from more around countries that can't be over there.
Yeah, I probably agree.
Compared to people that go to the games, because I've heard a lot of fans who just they don't care. They just want to go and see Tottenham Hotspur. Now that's their right. Yep. You know, you can't criticize them for them. That's what they want to do. That's fair enough. But that's the only other logical thing I can think of. Of course, you're going to have people who can't make it because of work or have family stuff going on and everything else. But maybe a lot more of the movement is more online and people in countries where they just can't be there rather than, actual game goers.
Yeah.
Does that speak to Brian C's point then, that it kind of needs to be then more like go back to the social media? Yeah,
and this is what I was going to say as well. I just wanted to touch to that is that, look, no idea is a bad idea. I am a firm believer in that, Jack. You know that. I said that to you, when you were coming on board. Don't ever be afraid to put ideas forward. No idea is a bad idea. Do you know what the problem is? You have to find that one thing where you can unite everybody.
Right.
You can't have that the divisive thing in it. You're either with us or you're against us. You can't have that because that's not the case. You can be with someone, but you just may not feel or go to the lengths of someone else would, but you can still have the same thoughts and everything else. But for me, I think it's just finding that one thing, that right phrase or that right term or that right moment to unite everybody. Now, I'll be honest with you. I would have thought the Super League would have been that moment. Now, the protest worked, but it hugely disappointed me, to be honest with you. Because what they tried to do is they were taking football away from the working man, which was what football was built on. It's always been known as a working man sport. It's always been known that. And they tried to take that away from the people. But not only that, the Super League was it was going to be to the point where you could just pick up Tottenham, and rather than have the games in Tottenham, you should be flying around to all the best, most expensive cities in the world and showcasing their game. That's all they were going to be doing with it. And so, look, I do think Brian has a point. Maybe it does have to be more social media led. So how many movements have you seen actually started on social media over the last years?
It's the new thing.
Look, it's a trend. Most movements are starting on social media and then they turn into the protests.
Correct.
Now, maybe there has to be more work done online, more work on social media, and then you can get the numbers to the protest. Who knows? Maybe Brian C. Maybe this is why he's called Socrates, Jack, because he's probably on point.
I think he is on point. That's what I kind of meant, David, when it came to...
I'm not really tied too close to the movement. I actually don't know a lot about it. I don't know what the plans are, whatever else. But that's all I can say is from my outside point of view, just like Socrates here, is that's probably... I'll probably be more aligned to agree with Socrates here.
I think we've made even, huge progression in terms of, protests towards, certain companies, even recently in the US, the George Floyd movement, in fact, started entirely through social media when you think about it that way. So now, David, I think, and Socrates are right in that case where to a degree, it has to start with social media and then it moves towards, actual physical protests and actual physical bodies. But people need to be informed and people need to know what they're protesting about. It's not as much word to mouth anymore. It's now, to a degree, it's, Twitter,
it cannot be a closed shop. It cannot be a closed shop. If you want people to be involved and you want people to see where you're going, you can't exclude people out of it. Whether you like them or not, you have to be open to have them in. You have to dish out the information so everyone's on the one page. And it's that simple. Yeah. It's that simple. But look, big up Socrates. Really appreciate the 2 super chats. I'm not a man. I'm William Kelly. But look, we've more, so let's keep rocking. And then, because we have more show to get through, don't worry about that, guys. Look, who knows? Maybe we might sit here till Wilder and Fury starts. Who knows? But Spurs 72, big up, my man. And he's also become a new member as well.
Wow,
big up, Spurs 72. I want to see you on the fan show this month. I want to see you there, buddy. He says, David and Jack, you guys have some of the best streaming platforms, 100%. Very informative topics and debates on here. Very informative guests. And it's the Colorado Rookies baseball, Danny.
Okay, that's another one. There's the Rams.
I think there are tons of others. Yeah,
that's what I mean. He's got a lot. He's got a lot. Yeah, he's got that. So this club here, and obviously the Rams as well. And I think someone mentioned it in the comments. So I replied to. I can't remember who it was, but they've just gone and built a £5 billion. What was it £5 billion stadium or something like that? Or I don't know, something like that. Apparently, it's like unreal. The Rams.
Screw it. That's the Gunners anyway. Screw them.
Yeah, exactly.
But look, big up Spurs 72. I really appreciate it, my man. I actually really appreciate that comment. That's so nice to hear, my man. Really do appreciate that. Look, by no means I don't think we're the best whatsoever. Me and Jack are striving every day to try and improve our content, improve how we ask the questions, improve interaction with the guests. The guys, everyone in the comments. How can we constantly improve? So by no means do we think we're the best. Look, I'm just glad you enjoyed the debates. Look, this is what the whole idea with the channel was about, bringing debates that maybe people didn't want to have and letting people have their answers. And I think that's what we do, my man. So, look, big yourself up. As for the informative guests, I've made no secret. I've always thought I put the best panels in the business together. I've always thought that. You call me big cocky, call me big headed, call me what you want. But that's what I've always thought. So big up Spurs 72, my man. I really appreciate that. What a dude.
Yeah, he just even recognized the strong panelists. He recognizes the strong minds, and you need to put together a lot of strong minds together if you want to have those good debates, if you want to have those good discussions. And I think really, again, Spurs 72, really, really appreciate that. Very, very nice of you. William Kelly saying, 72. I hate Chelsea more than the Gooners.
I agree completely.
Let us know, Danny. Let us know. Maybe William Kelly wants to know, maybe especially if you're
I'll tell you what it is. It's the fans are even worse. It's just honestly, the Chelsea fans just scumbags, man. They're absolute scumbags.
Yeah.
I mean, my sister's boyfriend, he's a lovely guy, right? Yeah, but when it comes to football,
what's
in
his
Chelsea,
name? Is he tuning in, Danny? Call him out.
I don't know if he is. Yeah, his name's Christian. But honestly, when he watches Chelsea, sometimes his mind is just completely. He's in his own little bubble sometimes.
Yeah,
and it's like no matter what anyone says to him, nope. It's like Chelsea fans they don't give a shit about what anyone else thinks. They don't care about just nothing. And honestly, like I said, I've said it so many times. Just the Champions League final, when sitting there watching him celebrate it and then not wanting to kind of not really caring about watching the team lift the trophy when really deep down he does. But the way he acted about it, I was like, nah, man, fuck. Oh my fucking. Honestly, Chelsea fans are the worst. They're worse.
I think football started after 2003, Danny. That's what it is. And also maybe before David comes in, I read a book one time. I think it's Footballnomics over here. Unfortunately, it's the S word, Soccernomics by the same people that did Freakonomics, that book. And they said actually the population of Chelsea fans increased by, I think it was 800%.
Not surprised. Glory fans, just like Man City fans, all glory fans, right? And I don't like Man City as well, but with Arsenal fans, right? Arsenal fans, they used to be a good team. We can't deny that, right? They used to be a good team, and look, we have the rivalry between them because of what the North London rivals, right? That's just a standard kind of rivalry we have.
Just down to
but we have the rivalry because they decided they'd come on.
That's true. That is true, right? But unfortunately, they've done better than us in terms of history, right? And they still are doing better than us, unfortunately. But do you know what though? Like in terms of history, look, they won more FA Cups than we have in 5 years. So and they're still shit team. So it says a lot. But what's funny is Arsenal fans are just delusional. That's what's quite funny. They're just delusional fans, right? But Chelsea fans, they're just on another level of just complete insaneness. But
you know what?
Oh, mate.
What I will say, William, is that I've actually heard a lot more people say this lately. I was talking to a lot of Spurs fans.
I've been saying this for years, David. Years. I was talking to a
lot of Spurs fans on the build-up to North London Derby, and they all said to me, I hate Chelsea more. Me, personally, I despise the Gooners. I absolutely despise them, right? I hate them. But Chelsea are up there. I just hate Arsenal more. But Chelsea are up there. Make no mistake about it. Look, their captain sleeping with their player's wife. What they done to that guy in Paris that time when they were over there playing PSG and everything else. Yep. Look, they just can't help themselves. So they are getting there. But for me, I'm still hate the Gooners more. But William Kelly, you are not on your own there. I've heard more and more people say that, my man.
Paddy
Garnett says, good discussion tonight, guys. Thank you so much, Paddy. Really appreciate that. He says, also, Bob had a fella on last week that gave a good balanced for the
I saw that.
debate for Enoch. I've seen that, my man. Get him on. Also, Dave, I sent you a DM, Paddy. I've read the DM. And if you could sort that, I'd really be appreciated, my man. It really would be appreciated. You're a top dude, my man. And look, do you know what? You get yourself on here one day, Paddy. Get yourself on here and give that sort of the sort of view, because look, I speak to you on and off, as much as we can. And, get yourself on, Paddy. Get yourself on, my man. I'm looking forward to getting you on. Big up, Paddy. Hope things are well. But I got the DM and I'll speak to you after the show, my man. Big yourself up. Let's see who else we got.
I saw that. I think it was a good way to, not put ourselves in a bit of a, let's say, an echo chamber or whatnot, bring on people with different views. And, it's good to have people who don't feel the same way about it, because it, just only promotes better debate. It only makes your ideas stronger. It makes your ideas stronger if you then are up against people who feel a bit differently about it. I think really well said, Paddy.
Well, not only that, though, Jack, you might see things in a bit of a different light than what you've seen them previously.
It gives
sometimes you can be so
full
tunnel vision in the way you think.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you might only see one way. And sometimes someone coming in with a different perspective, it may not alter the way you think, but it might adjust how hard you think on that situation. Or, geez, sorry guys, I have had a bit of a chest infection over the last 2 days, and I am just coming to the last of it, as you can hear. But Paddy, my man, really appreciate that, buddy. What a man. I'm just going to take this from, sorry, Danny, you go ahead, and then I'll be back in 1 second. I'm going to take this from Socrates. I'm just going to get a quick drink.
There it is. So Brian Socrates saying here, lads, excellent points. To work, it needs to be a unifying positive hashtag that gets buy-in from the most fans. I think most fans agree that we want Spurs to invest more to win trophies. Hashtag team investment, please, Spurs, or something better. I mean, Danny, what do you think? Is that what it maybe takes? And maybe we were touching on that earlier, and I think that needs to be kind of hit home here is 2-degree movements now, whether it be about politics, whether it be about society, culture, or even football, has to start with social media practically in order for people to get unified behind it. Because with social media, it means more numbers, it means more education, it means more people and just more understanding, and then it moves to protest, then it moves to boycotting, then it moves to other forms. But I think it has to start with a strong hashtag or some sort of strong movement. Yeah, David.
Yeah, sorry, because I'm getting jealous. I do want to answer one of Socrates' comments because he's putting 3 now, so I do want to get one. You guys are making me jealous. But no, I'm just going to be quick, and then because I know you were asking Danny, but with social media, right? It's a free platform, right? So before, if you want to get traction in movements and stuff like that, you had to put adverts in paper, get the media on board. Social media is a way of boycotting the media. It's a free platform, and it puts it out to millions of people around the world. And a lot of the news now get their stuff off social media and what's happening on social media and everything else. So it's a lot more powerful than what people may think. And yeah, that's what I'm going to say to so, sorry.
There you go, Dave. There you go. Honestly, you must have had the wisdom in that glass of water there. Danny, here. I mean, what do you think? Is it now maybe a common truth? Is it like practically it's the new form of social media? Is it social media the new form of, it's like the new catalyst for protest, you might say. It's the new, way to get movement started, you might say. And something we have to recognize. It's just a new era of how to get your message across. It's a new era to start change is social media.
No, I agree with that completely. It is a new way to start a movement through social media, just like Black Lives Matter, for example. That was all started through social media, right? And look how big that became. The only thing that I just don't think it will work for Spurs and for our situation is because there's too many people that are diverse of the opinion of their opinions as to how the club is being run. Right now, it's very difficult to get people on your side when there's too many people that have got different views, or half the fan base thinks Levy's done good, half the fan base think he's done okay, but he can do better. And then, a percentage of the fan base, should I say? And then there's another percentage that want him out completely, and they need to go. The board needs to go. Like me, for example, I'm one of those people who I want him gone. I don't care whoever comes in. I just want him gone because my opinion is I see him as he's using us. He's using the club as a way to make more money through other revenue streams, which is what he's built what he's spent 10 years building up to this new stadium, because he knows that is a catalyst for how he can make money, right? Through other ventures, like we've discussed. So this is where I think that, yes, I agree completely that I think social media is one of the ways to go to kind of start something, but I just don't think it will work for Tottenham.
Doesn't work for maybe Levy as much.
In our situation, I don't think it'll work for us because of how diverse people's opinions are on the situation, how the club being run. There's a lot of people that still like Levy, and they'll still go back. Oh, look, but he's built the best. You can see what he's doing. He's built the best stadium in the world.
We're in Madden.
We're in Madden. We've got concerts coming in now, and look, don't worry, guys. He's gonna spend the money in the team. All the money is gonna be put into the fucking team. It's not, mate. You're fucking deluded on if you think he's gonna put money into that team. He hasn't done for 20 years. Joe Lewis has never invested a dime into this club Everything that's been made is from us fans.
It fills their own pockets.
Yeah, us fans are the ones who's filled their pockets to rebuild this stadium, and also the bank loans they took out, which is like a mortgage which they can pay over a number of years, which they're going to use to pay off what's paying off those loans and those debts to the banks is what's going to be made from the revenue streams that they wanted to hit, and only then you might see them start to spend money in the team, but I don't think they will. Because
I'm not disputing anything you said there, Danny. Nothing there. I have to say that's facts. But the only thing I will say is, just back to the social media point you were making is see, this is where it comes down to whoever's organizer or whoever's the real organizers over this or whatever. Start putting out questionnaires on the likes of Twitter or Instagram. Start emailing them to Spurs fans and put out a range of things and find out the most unanimous topic that everyone can get behind and pick that and make that your thing. You can use social media as your homework, as your background to be able to build the platform. That's what you should be doing with it. Put out the questionnaires to fans, put out polls, get all over social media. Whoever's in the groups, everyone get on, do it. Whatever the most unanimous topic is, that's the one you go with. And that's the one that everyone can probably unite and get behind, or the majority will get behind and unite. You're never, ever going to get 100% of people ever on board, ever. It's never going to happen. It's never happened in life. You see that with votes for parliament, or government, or whatever else. You're never, ever going to get 100% of the people thinking the same way because we're not sheep. But what you can do is find out the most, the slogan or the line or the thing that you should be getting behind. The most.
Isn't that what Brian C's then saying here? It needs to be a positive sort of hashtag, David. Would this positive hashtag work for you? If it's just team investment, please Spurs. I mean, how can you say no to that? I mean, who would, everybody would agree to that. Maybe it's not powerful enough, but I think it could be. I think it certainly could be because it's something we all agree about.
It doesn't even need to be positive. That's the thing. It doesn't have to be positive.
You're right.
But just put the stuff out there and see what is the most, what hits home with the most broader amount of people.
Right.
And do that. Go with that. Build everything off of that. That's me personally. That's what I'd be doing. But I'm no expert in this area. I'm not a PR guru. I don't work in advertising. I don't work in any of this sort of public stuff to find out what people's opinions are. That's just me from the outside looking in. That's personally what I would do. I think for me, that's the most logical way to go about it because you're never, ever going to get 100% of people. But it doesn't have to be positive. It doesn't need to be negative. It could be either or. Just put them out there and see what the general public opinion is.
I mean, Danny, would this hashtag work for you? I mean, is it enough for people to get behind? Or do you kind of agree with David where it just needs to still be maybe something powerful enough that still, though, maybe is kind of a bit of a poll? I mean, would this hashtag that Brian C is talking about, this positive hashtag, would that maybe work? Would that be powerful enough? Or would that, maybe like you said, would that have no sway on Levy?
It's a start, but like David said, it has to be more. It can't just be that. It's got to be a lot more. It's got to be a lot more. But look, I don't want to put a down on things. I just don't think there's enough Spurs fans that care enough, if I'm honest, right?
But how do you find that out, though, Danny? By putting out
like you said, by putting out the polls and stuff like that, and like a lot more. What really needs to happen is lots and lots and lots and lots of Spurs fans, thousands and thousands of Spurs fans, all put out the polls and see where people's views are by the results.
How intense do they feel about it?
Yeah, and then you'll get a kind of general gist of how fans are feeling about the club situation and if they feel like it's something they will actually want to try do something to try and change it. But that's the start. It has to start from somewhere. Do you know what I mean? And
right,
like David said, yeah, it has to be more than that. But what Brian said is definitely a start with this hashtag like that.
Yeah, I really know.
I mean, look what happened.
Yet again.
You could say, right?
With the Super League, you had this whole thing. What was it? Legacy fan and all that sort of crap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Things can really take off. It's just about. It's about.
Look what happened to Gattuso, Dave. When everyone's like, no to Gattuso, and apparently people within the club saw how crazy it got. With everyone would have gone mad if he got hired, and obviously. And I think even he came out and said that there was reasons why they didn't want him in the end, and a lot of it's because the fans didn't want him, and that's what I mean by like the movements can work. It's just whether or not the fan base has to unite first before that happens, and then you have to try and get a gist of how everyone is feeling and find a way to unite everyone. But like I said, I just don't think in our situation right now we're gonna get all the fans united, because I still have arguments every day with people on Twitter, right? Or trying to have debates with people, and there's some people are still saying, "Oh, but he's built a lovely stadium. He's good. Don't worry, he's going to invest money in the future." I don't want to hear this crap, because he's not. He hasn't. They're never going to do it, no matter what anyone says. You're going to be sitting in 20 years' time, right? I'm going to be 50 years old, right? And I'm still going to be sitting here with one League Cup or in the last 50 years. Do you know what I mean? Or 40 years.
Danny, even people that think like that, there's still something in the club that they would like to change. Yeah, find out what it is.
Yeah, no, I agree.
That's how it is, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
There is something in the club that they will want to see change. Yeah. Find out what it be. It could be fans at board representation. It could be anything. But then use that. You know what I mean? Use it all. Put it on. You know, me personally. Look, I don't know enough about the protests or anything else like that, so I shouldn't probably really be speaking about them. But that's just my opinion. But big up to Socrates. I really appreciate the support.
Legendary comments. Legendary comments.
Kuva99 says, I'm not saying that I hate Chelsea, but every time I smell burning, I'm hopeful that it's Stamford Bridge. Yeah, I'll agree with you there, 100%. 100%, my man. You know, look, if Stamford Bridge was burning, it doesn't matter. They'd all just bring their poodles, you know, and get their nails painted and everything else the next day, you know, with the poodle, get the hair done with the poodle and everything else. So, you know, that's how they comfort themselves down there in Chelsea.
They just ride their yachts across the river, Dave.
I'll be honest with you. I hope all London clubs, like, you know, burn or something like that. You know what I mean? I want to be the only team in London standing. That's where I'm at, to be honest. Maybe not even burn, go into financial difficulty or something like that. You know, I
metaphorical burn.
London, that's for sure. But big up Kuva, my man. What a legend. What a legend. He's always in with the witty comments, Kuva. Let me know, did you get your decorating finished the slam, man? You know, because I presume you did if you're sitting here without the missus on your back. I presume you did get the decorating done, my man. But let me know. William Kelly says, I used to go to the Man City matches with my dad when they were in the first division and championship. And I have great time for their supporters. They knew I was a Spurs supporter and they never gave me crap about it. Yeah, look, maybe that generation of City fans are good. But it's the new ones that grind my gears. Yeah. You know, it's the newer ones that have only hopped on it since they got taken over and started buying the best players, and you know what I mean. They're the City fans I have issues with. You know, the City fans that were supporting the club through them times, they deserve that. You know what I mean? Just like Spurs fans who supported it all the way through the troubles and whatever else. You know what I mean? Like we all deserve the takeover. You know, we've gone through the hard times. It's just the newer ones, the glory hunters, that I have problems with, William. I can't stand them ones, you know, and especially when they're standing there bragging me, and I'm like, yeah, but man, you only started supporting City like 4 years ago. You know what I mean? I'm not having a debate with you, like, you know.
It's more when they actually complain.
Since you know, I was even born out in my mother's womb. I was, you know, as soon as my mom became pregnant, I was a Spurs fan. You know. So, like, don't be sitting there having a debate with me when you're just buying a jersey and, you know, chanting Aguero and whatever else you want just because you support City for the last 4 years. You know, you do not have better things to be doing, like, you know, finding out the prices of oil and stuff like that, and then sitting here trying to have a football debate with me. You know, it's a joke. Some of them new City fans are. Guys, you want to have anything to say to William?
I mean, personally, I think to a degree, Man City are kind of similar to Chelsea in that sense. Is a lot of them have, you know, probably the population of Man City fans, you know, maybe not even tripled, quadrupled, whatever, quintupled, you know, in fact, you know, since the takeover. It's just often the case that there are a lot of glory hunter fans, you know, in the world. And Man City, maybe I can't speak to that. And I think it is true, though, that there probably are, you know, a lot of very, you know, calm, very nice, you know, welcoming fans that probably to this day still exist. And that definitely is what William Kelly grew up with. But nowadays, you know, I would say since the takeover, it's just honestly spoiled, rotten, as well as, you know, empty crowds in their stadium. So, I mean, but Danny, what would you feel like, you know, in the case of Man City? I think maybe back in the day, right, they used to be very, to a degree, smaller, respectable club, you know, of Manchester, but maybe nowadays it's just a different story, don't you think?
Yeah, money changes everything, doesn't it? That's as simple as that. It's like money changes a lot.
Back to when I were in the show, we said that, Danny.
No, yeah, I know, yeah. but it's true. It's like it even changes fan base. It's like I was having an argument with an idiot, or an actual Spurs fan. Funny enough, how he seems to believe he must have been about 10 years old or something, right? Or his mind is like a 10-year-old anyway. But he was basically saying that. Well, I basically was saying that if it wasn't for Pochettino, right, and doing what he did with the Champions League football and getting us to a Champions League final, our brand, Tottenham Hotspur, would not be as big as it is now, right?
No, yeah, that's true.
Right. He was like, no, that's a lie. He goes, if Tottenham didn't have the Champions League, we still would have been a big club. I'm like, you're deluded, mate. You're absolutely on another level of delusion, because what Tottenham did, it grew the fan base in other countries, like in a lot more other countries, basically, because the Champions League, you're broadcasted on TV a lot more, well, for that tournament, basically, right, in other countries. So that's one of the reasons why. Like I said to him, if Tottenham had, say, I don't know, another manager and we were finishing 7th every season in the Europa League or whatever, you think Tottenham would be as big as they are now, or would have that sort of fan base they would have now? I said they'd have the local fans, yeah, but it'd be a lot less for the international fans, and that's where Tottenham make most of their money. Actually, funny enough, is the international fans, because just like the Super League proved it, they called us legacy fans. Legacy fans, because they don't care about the fans that go into the stadium, because they know someone else will buy another ticket. And I wanted to address a couple comments here. There's one I know Paddy was saying something about that he said something about I was wrong to say that the fans don't care. And what I wanted to say to that, Paddy, was just that, look, I went to one of the protests. I went to the one at Aston Villa last year, and from what I saw, there's not enough fans that care, mate. People were singing Daniel Levy died, disgusting things like that, and they were singing Musa Sissoko songs. And mate, they didn't care about Daniel Levy getting out of the club. It wasn't any kind of movement or like that. It wasn't like that, right? And this is why I'm saying there's not enough fans that care. There really isn't enough fans that care. Because if there was, there'd be a lot more people like doing walkouts in the stadium or boycotting games and stuff like that. But there isn't, because people love the club too much, and they don't really care. They just want to go watch their team. Look, when I go to the stadiums, I see fans that go there to go and see their mates, go and have a beer, go and have a laugh. Like I see it reunites friends and stuff like that, and that's why people go there. They want to go and have a nice time with their friends and their family and their kids and their wives and whatever, their brothers, their grandpa, their grandparents and whatever.
They also love the club, though. And
that's it. And they love the club, and this is why they go to the games, because they just want to watch their team, the team that they fucking love. Just like all of us lot. It's like yeah, go on, Dave.
No, sorry, go on. Sorry.
No, yeah, and there was another one. No, I'll let you go. I'll mention
just to back what you were saying when you were having that argument with the other fan is, like, I do agree with you. You know, it definitely the run to the Champions League final, and that definitely enhanced our brand. But as a club, we've always been a big club. Right now, you'd maybe say we're just a bit of a sleeping giant, but we've always been a big club in my eyes.
We've been but we've been a big club in our own eyes, but we haven't been a big club to the world. That's a difference, right? In my eyes, Tottenham have always been the best club. In your eyes, because we're fans and we love the club. But in terms to the world, to players who want to go and play for the best Champions League teams, we weren't a big club. You think someone like Ndombele, I know we have our things about and our views about him, right? But at the time, he was one of the best midfielders in Europe, right? In terms of what he did in the Champions League, right? That's why a lot of big clubs went for him. That's why he was our record signing, because he showed class in these games, right? And the thing is, if we were playing Europa League football or Conference League football, there's no way in hell you're going to attract someone like him or keep someone like Harry Kane or whoever or keep. Do you know what I mean? You're not going to get those level of players, which then the fan base internationally is not going to be as shown, because when you start attracting the best players, you start playing consistently in the big tournaments, and you start getting far, you start beating the big teams. Like we beat Real Madrid when they were champions at Wembley, right? I was at that game, right? When you start beating those type of teams, people take notice of you. People think, hold a minute, who's Tottenham? Like, people don't know who Tottenham are. They start being like, oh, hold a minute, they've just gone to beat the European champions and well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is a team they had their best. They were reigning champions at the time. We go and beat them 3-1. Do Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, and we battered them that game. And like that's the type of games that people will take notice and be like, right, this is a team, man. And then more and more the fan base grows because people are like, I like this team. And it's like you might get more international fans. You might get the younger fans who in this country, for example, in the UK, who are like, I don't know, 5 years old, 6 years old, like, Dad, I want to support that team. They look really good. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and that's what I'm trying to say
no, that's fair. That's a fair point. I'd agree with that.
I really agree with that, just because even from the from across the Atlantic perspective, there's a reason why everybody only over here knows about Man United and other clubs, and Spurs, I think, are getting down that lane where it actually, they are familiar. But I think Danny's right. The more Champions League, the more Champions League fixtures, the more big upsets that we have, the more the brand, why did I even say that? The more the reputation of the club grows, the more that, the awareness grows. And, that's coming from obviously this perspective over this side of the pond. But also, William Kelly, really want to big yourself up, because I honestly, hopefully, we won't go down that road with Man City fans where we would, maybe lose our true selves, or, lose our real, kind of our kind of fandom in the same way that we have before. Hopefully we would stay humble. But it's good to see that at least Man City fans back in the day were very, very humble. Faz Radfar saying tops. Yeah, Dave.
Yeah, just quickly, I just want to say to people, look, I know what we have coming next. It's probably a whole nother show's worth, to be honest with you. We're already going for 2 hours. Guys, let us know whether you want us to continue, because you're the ones that have been tuning in. Do you think you can handle more? Do you want more? Or do you want to see us make it into another show, a round 2 or a part 2? Do let us know in the comments, guys. Do let us know in the comments. And just quickly, Paul Compton says, Irish Hotspur, you just stated BOLLOCKS. Yeah, no, look, fair enough. Not everybody's going to agree with me, but that's what this is about, my man. So big yourself up.
Faz Radfar saying, top signings, Paritici so far. Our hope despite Levy. Oh, I think he's made I think with Faz, I think he's made a lot of great signings, especially, again, maybe one where Danny was just bringing up with the Europa Conference League, barely, the minor league of the Europa League. The signings we've made I've actually been quite proud of. It's a bit shameful that, I have to say it that way, because I want more. We all want more. But to a degree, I would actually say this, and I did say this to Alex Davies, to Danny, to David. I think Paritici, to a degree, is kind of one of our final hopes if we're going to keep Levy, because the guy is kind of going to work with what he has. He's going to try to turn us to a club that can generate profit for Levy, but also still bring in good talent, good players that can get us into top 4, that can get us challenging. And I think he's going for somewhat of a Borussia Dortmund kind of project. Exactly, Danny. Maybe an Ajax kind of project to a degree, where it's just, solid, strong talent that is going to, be able to be sold on for a lot of money. But at the same time, that strong, solid talent, as we've seen at Dortmund, has brought them to Champions League semifinals, has brought them, and been always a formidable force. I mean, to a degree, not a lot of people still like to play Dortmund in the Champions League. They know that they are a tough team to deal with. And to a degree, that could be us again. And I think we were that under Poch, actually. It's just, instead of, having a brilliant, fantastic Messiah manager that can, get the most out of not a lot there, I think this time it's just going to be maybe a director of football that's going to be getting us a lot of very quality players that will actually get us to that stage. And I'm only going to believe the only signing I've maybe questioned so far is potentially Galini. But like you say, we can still say no to the guy. And he still, I think, might not be the worst backup keeper. But I think so far the rest of the signings I've actually loved. I will say that I've loved. It's not like something where I'd give it 10 out of 10, but I still love them. William Kelly, William Kelly saying, you guys are you are the guys to start the movement. Get out there across all Spurs networks and ask the question. I think that's it. I think it is actually, to a degree, we are in the platform, Dave. We are actually, to a degree, the ones that are on screen right now bringing this up, and we need to take more responsibility for that, Dave. As much as it is social media, these kind of conversations are what maybe gets the narrative pushed a bit more, don't you think?
Look, there's people out there that already have movement. If they want us involved, no problem. I have no problem getting involved. Just ask. At the end of the day, there's nothing we can do about it, Jack. You know that. I know that. At the end of the day, if they want us to be involved in that, just ask us. Not a problem. I have no problem helping out whatsoever. look, at the end of the day, Jack, we do what we can. We don't hide away from the Levy issue. We do want them out, but we're also fair. We do love the players. We do love the club and everything else as well. And look, for me, if you guys, the Irish Hotspur fan base, want to see me and Jack, get more involved in the movement, just let us know. No problem. We'll see what we can do. Like the thing is, it is hard for me and Jack because I live in Ireland. Jack lives in the USA, but then it comes back to what Socrates was saying. Maybe we could do more on social media and stuff like that. 100%, William. Really appreciate it. And the fact that you think, me and Jack are capable of something like that, man, I really appreciate that. That's massive. Thank you so much, my man. Yeah. I really appreciate the kind words. Pick yourself up. What's the story? Says Levy is a tight-ass globalist shill, and he's not even good at it. The only way Spurs are going to improve is to do a Newcastle. Unfortunately, money talks. I couldn't agree more. It's the way football's gone. Look, I never wanted to be a club like that. I always wanted to believe in the Spurs way and everything else. But unfortunately, just the way the modern day football is gone.
Your dad's right, mate.
Look, money talks. You put the money up, the players come, and you win trophies. That's what it's all about nowadays. And look, at the end of the day, we want his trophies as Spurs fans as well. So,
yeah. This is going to be an interesting one, Dave. And I think maybe we might have to pick and choose because I think the part 2 might be necessary because the next, section would be us talking about the UK governments. I believe the Minister of Culture, I believe his name is Oliver something. Is going to be doing, his fan-led review, which is going to be released quite soon. I think that ties in very heavily into maybe this this issue with Enoch and Levy. But we also, promised that we talk a bit about Newcastle. We also promised that we would talk about Paritici. I think we can't have all 3. We probably want to go maybe a bit into one of the others. I think we probably need to do that part 2. It's just what do we make the part 2 about? I think maybe we could talk about Newcastle, maybe to finish it up. Potentially, just because that is something topical, but maybe we could also just look at what the comments want us to do, because I think the part 2 would do this justice. I think it would do this justice. I think it just could be good to continue on this conversation. But at the same time, we have a lot prepared for this show. And of course, like always, the Harris Army just gets the wheels going. They just get it. They just can't let us stop, and they just get us going down a lot of
look, if you want to keep going, I have no problem. Keep going. I just wanted to know what the viewers wanted to do.
That's what I'm basically saying.
Yeah, look, Jack, whatever. Like, I just want to know, do the viewers want us to keep going? Do they want us to shut up? I'm not sure, Look, John, challenge me. You won't beat me, lad. You will not beat me, my man. Trust me. My email's up below, lad. Email me the gamer tag. I'm getting on this before the weekend's out, and we're playing each other. John, Republic of Ireland versus Republic of Ireland. Let's have it, my man.
That's the real test of skill. That's a real test of skill right there. But certainly, I guess I'm not sure, David. I mean, where should we go next? What do you think? Because, of course, we have huge topics still left. So I could just continue down the order that we're doing. We could do the UK. Yeah, let's do it then. In terms of everybody, we do know that there is going to be a UK government fan-led review that is going to be released very soon. This is, had to do after the aftermath of the Super League fiasco, and where, it felt like it was imperative, that the UK government take a stance, towards of maybe what the power of the owners is. And so if we maybe remind ourselves is that it is a statement here from the UK government. This comes from the Minister of Culture, I believe, himself. And it says, in the aftermath of the failed European Super League bid, the government of the UK announced its manifesto commitment to conduct the review and published its terms of reference last month. The panel features, and we are talking about a panel of people that are going to be discussing with fans, Spurs fans, everything around the entire Premier League. And it also doesn't include the Premier League. It also includes the Women's League. It includes the non-league football. It includes League One. It basically includes every aspect of the entire UK pyramid of football. When you think about it, there's been a huge panel that's been conducted, and they are asking basically fans, and representation of fan groups, what they feel like needs to be done. The chair and the panel will canvass fans' views on ownership, governance, and financial flows within the game. Very important there. It will add to the recommendations of the English Football League's governance review and government's 2016 expert working group on football supporter ownership and engagement. In addition, they will assess if there is a need for an independent football regulator I think that's very important to discuss. Charged with implementing regulation and compliance and how that could work within the existing framework provided by the Football Association, Premier League, and English Football League. More or less in shorter terms, basically there's a fan-led review where they've been going around with very, very strong panelists. I think that includes representations of the Women's League, as well as even Roy Hodgson, as I believe, is one of the panelists himself. And they're asking basically what they think, maybe needs to be done in order to maybe give a bit more representation of fans, as well as also challenging, the owners, because they're realizing that the fans are not feeling represented. But maybe considering that, this lead review is going to be coming out very, very soon, Danny, does maybe then the board's rejection of a sit-down meeting maybe just demonstrate the problem in itself? The idea that maybe, Daniel Levy feels like he is powerful enough to say no to the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust. Does that just indicate maybe just a huge aspect of the problem that already exists? Maybe it just indicates why this fan-led review is happening in the first place. Is if Daniel Levy feels like he doesn't need to listen to any fans or even a real representative body of the fans, that just speaks to the problem that we're experiencing.
Yeah, I'm just going to say in the most brutal, honest way I can say this, right? Tottenham Hotspur, unfortunately, is no longer a football club. Okay? It's a business, right? As much as we hate that right now, that is the current situation, right? It is a business. Okay? Now, what is a business's purpose? What is the main goal for a business, right? What is it? What does any business do, right? To stay alive,
generate revenue, build money,
generate revenue. Now, if I'm not mistaken, that's exactly what they are doing, right? They're making money. They're going to start making even more money soon. They're starting to make more money. Yeah, they're showing that they make more. What the fuck does the Tottenham Hotspur Support Trust have anything to do with Tottenham making money?
It's a hindrance to them, actually.
Absolutely nothing. It does nothing towards, or doesn't affect anything to do with. Yeah, it doesn't affect them in any way whatsoever. So, from someone who's worked in businesses and financial companies, not within the finance, but you know what I mean, I've got a bit of insight into it. They don't give a shit, mate. They don't care. Yeah. All they care about is making money. So a little supporters trust with whether 50,000 members or whatever it is, 20,000 members, if it affects them making money, then they're gonna start talking. If it doesn't, they don't need to talk. They don't need to, and that's coming from someone who, looking at a business owner, is that they're just gonna be like, "Who are you? Who are you?" That's all they're gonna see, and that's why that's exactly it. That's why they're gonna ignore the supporters trust until something, or what they will do is, if they do decide to talk, they're just gonna come out with the most bollocks fucking statements that they always do. And I know we haven't even touched on it, but the Paritici interview the other day, right, where when they asked him, what's the Tottenham's kind of ambitions? What do they want to do? And what did he say? Rather than saying, "Oh, we want to try and aim for a trophy in the next 3 years, or we want to try and maybe challenge for the Premier League in the next 5 years," he goes, "We want to build a competitive team." I mean, come on, man.
You can't get more vague than that.
Yeah, you cannot get more vague than that, Jack. It's a disgrace. And that tells me in itself that they don't want people to know what the plans are, because deep down what their plans are is to make a competitive team so they can sell on players for a high value. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but from what I was told, Papa Matasar, he's actually got a release clause in his contract of £130 million. It's the first time Spurs have actually put a release clause in. So, well, one of the first time. I know they did it with Toby Alderweireld, but this was a request by Paritici, right? Apparently, from what I was told. Now, that's because they understand that someone like him, if he fulfills the potential that he has, and Tottenham don't make the Champions League because they do not invest in the squad correctly, then they know that one of the big teams, once this pandemic stuff is all kind of back to normal and stuff, they know someone's going to come in like Paris Saint-Germain or someone like Man City, be like, "Here you go, 130 million, give me your best player."
Well, that's where the Dortmund things comes
sure,
in. They did that with Haaland right away.
That's where the Dortmund thing comes in. And that's what's going to happen with Haaland next summer, right? And that's what's happened to a lot of their players, like Jadon Sancho and stuff like that. Like it's inevitable. It's inevitable, Jack. We're, like you said, Jack, we are building this Dortmund model. That's what they're trying to do, because they know that they can reinvest into the team with the money they sell with the players who become very good. And that's exactly what they want to do.
But then fans can also get convinced that, we're trying to build a stronger team. But to a degree, it's not going to be it's not going to be the Varans of the world. It's not going to be the Ronaldos of the world. It is going to be players that, to a degree, maybe we haven't heard of. Maybe players that, sure, you have to look up. I mean, personally, I already have to do maybe enough research on all these that, a lot of these players I have heard of before. But when you think about it, it's exactly what Dortmund do. It's exactly what they do. They buy players that no one, maybe they aren't household names, but then they are soon to become household names. I mean, it's no coincidence that even though people knew about Jude Bellingham, they were the ones that were going to bring Jude Bellingham over to make him quadruple, what he was actually worth at the time. And it just maybe speaks that they did the same with Jadon Sancho, like you said. They've done that with Haaland. They're doing that maybe with that new guy, Daniel Malen. They're doing that with tons of players so that they can maybe give them, they allow them to play. Same with Spurs, they would make it into our team, and then they would play tons of games. And to a degree, their value would just absolutely catapult into this area where we can then make ridiculous profit off of it. It's sad that we have to be that sort of club to do it that way, because I feel like we're bigger than that, but it kind of, in terms of Levy land, it kind of makes sense. It's actually what they work together, Paritici and Levy, in that sense. Yeah, Danny.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, look at Leipzig. They're kind of following the same model, but I know Leipzig are a very, very rich club, right? Their group, the RB group, they're huge. Obviously, they're mega rich, right? So they don't have to sell. But the problem with them is they're at that stage now where Dortmund, where they're trying to build this team so they can become competitive enough with the Bayern Munichs and the Dortmunds, right? So that they can maybe hold their players a bit more, sort of thing. But it's inevitable in that league. Unfortunately, Bayern Munich just picks whoever they want from any other team, and they were like, "I'll have him, I'll have him, I'll have him." And because it's Bayern Munich and the history of the team, and they are one of the biggest teams on the planet, one of the biggest team in Germany, they can just do that. And it's like you're never ever going to get close to them unless you can spend the same money, or you decide to spend the same money as them and actually want to build a team. But the RB group doesn't seem that they want to do it in the Dortmund way, where they want to buy young, amazing talent like your who's that guy they bought recently? Oh, I can't remember.
Andre Silva.
Andre Silva was one of them, but Soboslai, is it Soboslai?
Yeah,
from their parent, from their
well, that's team. The insider trading.
That's the insider trading. But what I'm saying though, they're the type of players they're aiming at. They're aiming at those top young talent. Right, so they know that they're going to build a really good team with them. But then, if a Bayern Munich or a PSG comes along, they know they can charge them whatever they want to sell them. They're going to pay like 50, 60, 70, 100 million for a player.
Because they
do
make 600%.
Do you know why I think they're going down that route, though? Do you know why I think they're going down that route? Is because they know they're not going to have the money like City or Chelsea or now Newcastle, United, to spend that big money on massive players. So they have to go down another route. Yeah. If they want to generate that kind of money to be able to spend on players, they're doing it through the stadium and they're doing it through, the concerts in the NFL, etc. Well, supposedly, how much of it actually goes into the team, who knows? But that's probably what they're thinking is like they can't compete with City, and this is just to take a devil advocate's view on it. Is that they can't compete with City and Chelsea and now Newcastle United and stuff like that. So the only way that they may be able to be able to do that in the future is by bringing in these players, getting the recruitment spot on in terms of bringing in the younger players and selling them on for a profit. Now, don't get me wrong. I am not defending them because it's wrong. We shouldn't be in this position. We should already be challenging. And but with that, along comes the big money to be able to spend. But the thing is that's probably what they're thinking at doing now. And I think you're going to see a lot more clubs in the Premier League do that because they just cannot compete financially with some of these owners anymore. So I think you're going to. I think the plan is in that aspect to sell the players on for massive money and then use that money then to be able to buy the big players. Will it work? Is it sustainable? I'm not sure. Look, if your recruitment right, that model is sustainable, but there is danger that you could end up slipping further down the pecking order in the league by doing that as well, because it's a very fine line on how many of your players do you sell that summer if the big clubs are coming calling and stuff like that. So it's a very risky one to go down. At the end of the day, look, I just want success. I don't care how it comes about anymore. I just want to see trophies. I'll be honest with you. I don't care how it comes about.
And that's what's hard to imagine then, though, is like, even if we did go down this Ajax, Dortmund, Leipzig route, does that guarantee trophies? I think, a lot of people might even argue just guarantees more profit for Levy and for ENIC, and that's what's sad is maybe we'll be getting all the young talents, but do all the young talents guarantee success? I can't say that. I personally, especially because the Premier League is just different than the Bundesliga. Yeah. It's just different than the rest of the leagues. It's not going to be, the same model of success maybe as you'd like to think. But COVID-99 saying all of you ENIC out people should be ashamed. We can't spend big money on players without risking our world-class equestrian and opera house projects. Yeah, I mean, honestly, as well as, the greatest, new theme park in the world, which will now be Levy Land, the new biggest hotel, the Levy Hotel as well. I mean, don't you agree, Danny? I mean, that's to a degree, like, maybe we have to also understand that they are also the property investment company. And it's actually incredible. We haven't even mentioned that yet. We haven't even gotten to that part yet, is that it is actually a lot. Part of it actually has to do with property investment for them, as to, like you said, franchising itself.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with it. I mean, we said it before. Obviously, ENIC are an investment company. Tavistock are an investment company. Daniel Levy got his his masters in land management, I think it was. So I mean, it just says it all, really. It just says it all what Tottenham are about, and what they're doing to use the company Tottenham and the club Tottenham to do, basically.
And so Kuva, like always, the comedian, really big yourself up. Like as maybe Chris would say, the other comedian in the Harris Army, don't forget about Levy Land. Certainly don't forget about Levy Land, because that's going to be the new place where also maybe Harry Winks might find himself, employed as well. But again, Kuva 99, big yourself up as always. Really appreciate the support and the comedy, the light humor as well, as always. William Kelly, though, saying it's been proven we can't compete with the takeover teams. Joe Lewis, just spend some money. You will be gone soon and you can't take it with you. This is maybe to a degree. Is this a sad reality that we have to come to terms with? Is once you start competing with the Abramoviches, the Sheikh Mansours of the world, the Saudi investment groups, I would say once you reach that level, unless you get Jeff Bezos in, you just can't compete with them, because those countries, countries, but those owners, they're actually investing in the club for different reasons than the likes of ENIC and Levy. Entirely different reasons. They're not investing in it for profit. They're not investing in it to make money. In fact, they have too much money to spend, and they're actually using it to repair their own reputations. They're doing it to repair their own images, to give themselves a better image to the world, a better presence, whatever it is, a better reputation. And that's not the case with ENIC and Levy. That certainly isn't. And actually, for them, it's just a certain source of revenue. It's a way to fill their pockets even bigger, even larger. And that's maybe just the fact that, to a degree, it's kind of almost, it's like oil and water, where the other clubs are oil and we're actually, to a degree, water, and we're not at all maybe capable of competing with those clubs. Now maybe we're realizing that in order to succeed, though, in order to guarantee trophies, you kind of have to go down that route where you need to have an owner that is going to be willing to just waste away a lot of money to a degree, and is not going to be concerned at all about profit, is not going to be concerned about at all about his margins at all. And maybe in this case, I would say Joe Lewis and ENIC, as much money as we know they have, and they have the lowest net spend, which is absolutely disgraceful. When you start then competing against the Saudi investment groups of the world, it is impossible to compete with unless you get someone else in charge that can compete with that sort of money. I would then say then that we are just finding ourselves in a boat where Joe Lewis and ENIC just need to get out, because if they want to consider top four, if they want to maybe have such a large club at their disposal, it can't be this one, because then we're just going to get passed by the rest of the league.
Do you know what it is, though, Jack? It's the gripe that Spurs fans have is right. we were on the cusp of doing something great before we moved into the stadium. The stadium timing came at the wrong place. You're talking 2 or 3 players short, and maybe 2 or 3 players short in terms of long-term investment to come into the team, so that when you do move into the stadium, the transition is smooth and you pick up where you left off. Okay, we got to the Champions League final, right? But the gripe is Chelsea were crap at the time. United were crap at the time. A lot of the bigger clubs were crap at the time. And that was the time. And unfortunately, I just have this feeling that we missed the boat. But that was the time for us to go and spend big. Put the furniture in the stadium. You had a second chance after the Champions League final. Spend big again. Didn't do it. They're your chances. He had the chance to buy the players to be able to go straight into the stadium with, and then he had the Champions League final to build off and buy the players. Why the rest of them teams that took over were struggling. Then, if you do that and you do it right, you're at the point there where you can compete with them because you already have your hands on a great team, a successful team, and great players. So then it's not going to cost you as much to be able to compete with these guys. But unfortunately now, I think we've missed the boat, and now we're sucked into a point where we do have to just try and go down this long-term route. And it's clear to see in the transfer strategy and the players that we brought in that is the route we're going down. You're bringing in young players, and I firmly believe they got the recruitment right this summer. I know a lot of people are saying we're probably weaker going into the season than what we were the season before under Jose. But personally, I'm more comfortable with the recruitment we got this summer than we did the previous summer. But with the recruitment, Gil, he's going to be a short thing. He's going to be a baller. He will work out. But how long is he going to be at Tottenham before when the big boys come calling? Romero, he's class, and he's going to work out. But again, how long is he going to stay at Tottenham before the big boys come calling? Emerson will work out. But if he gets to the levels that I think he will achieve, as soon as Walker's done at City, they're going to come in for Emerson. That's my feeling. Papa Matt Sarr, as Danny alluded to, it's in his contract, supposedly, 130 million release clause. So the thing is, I just feel we missed the boat. I feel we missed the boat, and now we're just stuck into this strategy, hoping that all these players come good. Some of them don't get picked off. We add to it, and we can build a competitive team. We shouldn't be at this point. We had 2 chances when the Premier League was weak, when some of the bigger clubs were at their weakest, and we missed the boat, and I'm worried.
Don't you feel like Dave?
It's like,
Danny. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Jack. I was just going to say, just to elaborate on your point, Dave, is that you kind of just said it yourself. It's like right. Emerson is probably going to come good, right? He looks like he will, right? He's young. Romero just is a class above any of the defenders.
Already world class, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's classes above everyone, levels above everyone, all of our defenders, right? And Brian Hill looks like he's going to be a superstar, right? Now, what happens in 3 years' time if we're still sitting in the Conference League, right? And he's now a mainstay in our team. The whole world can see how good this guy is in the Premier League. The whole world can see how good Brian Hill is. You think those players who are not academy players or brought into the club, are going to want to stay at Tottenham when you've got the likes of, say, for example, Barcelona sort of their finances in the next 3 years. Barcelona come knocking, or Real Madrid come knocking, or PSG, or Man City, or Man United even. All of those clubs, they come knocking, they're going to want to leave straight away, and they're going to cause unrest. You're going to cause problems within the team, and all the unbalances start happening. And then you've got to sell your best assets, and then you have to rebuild again. It's going to be a constant process of rebuilding. It's never going to get a settled team. And it's like, for example, I'll give people the example of this, right? I honestly don't think Son would have stayed at Spurs if we were not in the Champions League, same as Harry Kane, because if those players, as good as they are, right, were playing like at that level week in, week out, or every year, and we weren't in the Champions League, the top teams would have picked them out by now. I'm telling you that right now, 100%. It's only because that Champions League era with Pochettino got us to the point where we're actually a big club. Do you know what I mean? We can compete with these people given the right backing. And it's just so sad that we've kind of just, the fall from grace has been so dramatic because of the money not invested into the team.
Well,
aren't we then screwed though? Like in the case that we've already missed the boat, like David just described, Danny.
Yeah.
And then I think also on top of that, if we're then now competing with clubs, then Portugueser said it in the comments, clubs whose owners are sports washing, which means they have no concern with making profit from the clubs that they own. Whereas our owner is the definition of trying to make profit, trying to make revenue, run it like a business. Then we're in polar opposite spectrums then. And then if we're in that situation, we've already missed the boat and we have owners that are more concerned about profit rather than glory. Then we have both hands tied behind our back.
In a team like
basically,
especially in the Premier League, right? And just quickly, what's the story? It says Levy is trying to copy the Ajax model by buying young and sell for profit. What he doesn't understand is Ajax always have a replacement and pump the money into the club.
Yeah, that's true.
Perfectly said. Perfectly said.
Very true.
Look, what I was going to say is as well, people are going to say, well, you can't do it other ways by bringing in a manager like Pochettino and that, and like Brendan Rodgers has done at Leicester. But that will only bring you so far. What will stop Leicester from winning the league ever again? What will stop Tottenham competing is, okay, you can bring in a manager, but they're only going to get you to so much of a level where you might be competing for top 4 because one of them big, rich teams are in a rebuilding phase where the players are getting older and they're having to regenerate the squad, right? That's the only way you're going to catch top 4 from now on. And the difference between like Leicester or Tottenham, someone like Tottenham, really competing for the league is the investment. You can get in a manager and you'll get to the heights of where Leicester are now, but you will not challenge for a league title anymore. And the reason why is it's that. That's serious. That's just the difference. That's what I believe now. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating. Like, let's be honest, right? When we were challenging for the league that time with Leicester, the only reason why Tottenham and Leicester were challenged for the league is because Chelsea were at their weakest point in years. Before Klopp came good at Liverpool, they were at their weakest point in years. United were at their lowest in years. Arsenal were on the decline. That's the only reason why Tottenham and Leicester challenged for that Premier League title that time.
Yeah, that's true.
But
100%.
Since then, Liverpool, Chelsea, City, United have pumped money in, regenerated their squad, and have now made top 4 more or less between themselves, with now Newcastle coming on board. So the only heights we'll ever reach again is maybe sneaking into that top 4, unless we put real investment in this team to challenge. And unfortunately, it's going to be a long way, because the only way it's going to happen again is like I described, if you have 3 or 4 of the top teams needing to regenerate their team.
David, I just want to say, fucking absolutely bang on the money. You just basically summed up Tottenham and the next sort of 5-10 years for us, to be honest. You've just summed it up perfectly. Honestly, that is literally like our situation right now. That is basically us.
Yep. And I've been on fire this week, Danny. I've come up with some good stuff this week. Honestly, I've been on fire. I don't know what I've been doing this week, but I need to do more of it.
Oh, that's what you're having, mate.
Look, Jack, we take the super chat from William Kelly and then we'll crack on with more. I think we'll leave I think we'll do this government fan-led review. I think we'll get through that and then we'll save the Paritici and the effect of the Newcastle takeover that's going to have on Tottenham, because it's going to have serious implications. Just a quick brief maybe into part 2 of the show when we do it, is that they are now at a point where they're going to be buying from the same player pool as Tottenham, but they have more money to offer in terms of transfer and wages. So it's going to become a huge problem for Tottenham Hotspur. But look, that's to come into next. That's the next part 2, where we break down Paritici's video and go into the Newcastle takeover and how it really will affect Tottenham Hotspur. So but we will finish off this government fan-led review, because I really enjoy this.
William Kelly saying the only way out of this mess is a takeover, and unfortunately that avenue is closed because the value Enoch have this club valued at, I think, is what, 3.5 billion something.
3.5 billion compared to Newcastle 300 million.
Yeah, so there it is, everybody. They basically made it a price that no one will really pay. You know, it's
as a businessman,
it's intentionally an unpayable price. Yeah, Dave.
As a businessman, why would you buy Tottenham right now? Right, it's going to cost you 3.5 billion. Yeah, you have the stadium. Yeah, you have the training complex, right? But when Abramovich bought Chelsea, their training complex was a piece of shit, but they still brought in all the top stars. And the reason why that was because of that. So it's now more profitable if you're a businessman, right? And it makes more financial sense because it will be cheaper for you to buy a Norwich, a Burnley, for instance, a Newcastle, a club like that, right? Because all you have to do is put the players in. Right, but if you're paying 3.5 billion for Tottenham and then you're having to add the quality players, How does that make sense to you as a businessman to buy Tottenham when it's cheaper for you to buy a club in the lower half of the Premier League, may not have the stadium or a training complex, but that doesn't matter. You pay the players enough money, they're coming to play. It's that simple.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it that way, it is actually the case. But I mean, don't you think though, Danny, it's like intentionally an unpayable price? It's intentionally a price that no one would ever pay, which is exactly maybe the reasons why, again, we just find ourselves in this almost, I mean, it's not insurmountable. Nothing is really insurmountable, but it's just, again, like they just tie every hand behind our back that they possibly can.
Yeah, I mean, it's they've obviously done that to scare people off because they know that no one's going to pay that. They're not fucking stupid. They know like by valuing the club at that ridiculous price. I mean, the reported valuation anyway. No one's ever going to pay that sort of money because, especially when you've still got a technically you've still got a debt, right? I mean, even though I don't really class it as a debt, it's more like a mortgage. But technically, to the business world, it is a debt, right? So you've got a stadium you still need to pay off, and for anyone who's really wants to buy it, they've got they need to know that the club's going to be making money and stuff like that, and there's no way the club's worth that. I mean, I would say 2 billion tops, maybe a bit more than 2 billion, if that. But that's why they've done it like that, because they know that if they can get it to where they envision Tottenham to be, because don't forget, we still got Levy Land coming, right? We still got Levy Land outside the stadium, right? That's going to have a hotel, which they're going to probably get naming rights for. They'll probably sell the name rights to that as well. So they make money there. They've got obviously that sports center which they're going to have, which is part of Levy Land at the stadium. They're going to have the NFL training and women's football academy, which is going to be near the Tottenham training ground now, with a public park as well. So all this shit is all going to be owned by Tottenham Hotspur basically, and that's where he's saying this valuation is coming from. But right now, it's not worth that. It's not even, they haven't even started work on it yet. And that's where the money's going to be going. People think money's going to go into the club. It ain't going to go into the club. It's going to go into all these projects that are happening. And they're going to say, oh, we don't have money. We don't have money. Sorry, yeah, we can't do it. It's all, people need to wake up and smell what's going on, because
Danny, they've no intention of selling. If they had any intention of selling, right? Because right now, they're going to find it very hard to sell Tottenham at 3.5 billion, let alone what else to have planned to come with it. Right?
Exactly.
If they were going to sell, it would have made sense for them to sell with the plan and permission for the new stadium, because that way you're leaving all that in someone else's pockets. You're leaving all that as someone else, but you've got Tottenham to a point where at that time they would have increased Tottenham's up until when they got the plan and permission for the stadium I'm talking about, Danny. They would have increased Tottenham's what they bought for it compared to, what the value would have been at the time. Yeah. Plus, there was plan and permission for the stadium, so would have got more money for it because everything was in place. That's the time it would have made sense for them to sell. Not now. They've no intention of selling now. Of course, nowhere near it.
They know once all of this is built in the next 10 years, like you're gonna have this sports center, you're gonna have all this shit, right? They know then, if the club is doing better in the league as well, it is going to be closer to that value, because it's not just a stadium. They're going to be, they would have had a chunk of the stadium paid off as well by then, right? Especially if all these other sports events are coming in, they're going to pay it off a lot quicker than people think. But all the money that's coming in is going to be gone to that. A little bit, a percentage is going to go to the team, right? Yeah. To buy the young players, and then the rest will go to all the rest of the stuff to make the asset of Tottenham Hotspur, the assets, more valuable, so that, say, in like 20 years time or 15 years, when they do maybe decide they want to sell it, then they can get maybe closer to what they actually believe it's worth or what they're looking for. And then by then it would have been a profit they would have made on the club, and then they can walk away and be like, yeah, we made a profit on it, a massive profit. And they can go and sit on their billions and do what the fuck they want. You know what I mean? Wank each other off, them two, Joe Lewis and fucking Daniel.
Big up, William Kelly. Really appreciate the support, my man. Everyone else, make sure you're absolutely obliterating that like button. Make sure you're smashing that subscribe button if you're new. As Spurs72 said earlier, it's Spurs72's words, not mine, but you guys are the best platform out there. You create the best debates and everything else. So maybe that's a reason why you should subscribe to the channel. And look, why not help support us with a super chat too, guys? It is a great way to help support me and Jack on our journey. And trust me, every YouTuber, it's badly needed. Ones without long-term paid sponsorships, they badly need the help. So big up yourselves if you can help us. We know that not everybody is in a position, so don't worry. We will keep trying to pull up everyone's comments as much as we can, but the chat is flying. So it just guarantees you get to the top of the queue, guys.
Definitely so. Definitely so. Love that. From what story? Love that. One of the final questions of the evening, guys, and it is still a huge one to unpack. So we were just speaking about, we've well established that, the club by no means would ever meet with the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust when when it's convenient for them. They don't want to be representative when they don't feel like they need to. But maybe speaking of this government fan-led review, everybody, if club owners feel like they don't have to listen to or even acknowledge the fans of their respective clubs, does that mean then that the UK government's cultural secretary or their culture secretary has to then step in and pass real legislation in black and white in Parliament, dictating what owners can and cannot do without the consent of their respective, official fan groups? Basically saying that in simpler terms, just basically something from the UK government, maybe through the cultural secretary, needs to happen in order, in black and white in Parliament, needs to be passed in fine lettering so that it is well established what clubs can and cannot do, who they can and cannot blow off, basically, and which times can they say no to the fan representation groups, which time can they not say no? Is that basically just needs to happen? Because we know if Levy could just say, listen, I don't want to meet with you guys right now. It's not convenient. It's not what I want to do. It's just actually unheard of. It would be like your MP saying, listen, I was saying to David, be like Kildare MP kind of going up and saying, listen, there are people in Kildare, they're struggling. I need you to do this. I need to have a meeting with you. And then it'd be like, then the Irish Parliament would then say, sorry, guys, we don't need to meet with you. No, we don't want to have that meeting. It's ridiculous when you think about it in that term. So that means then, Danny, in your eyes, does that mean there needs to be some sort of legislation actually passed, to a degree, keep these clubs accountable to the fans in some way or form? I know they're businesses. I know they're privately owned, but there needs to then be some sort of step in by the government. There's only so much the fans can do. It then requires, your MP, your representatives to do something and pass something in black and white lettering in Parliament.
Oh yeah, that would be the best way.
But is that maybe then with this fan-led review that's going to be released? Is that to a degree maybe what could potentially happen, or is that maybe their goal in mind is to find out what type of legislation they can pass? Is that basically what needs to happen?
Maybe it is, but I just, because they are privately owned businesses, I just can't see them enforcing anything. Like,
it'd be hard to enforce.
It'd be very hard to enforce something like that. I mean, it's near enough impossible. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure all these rich, powerful clubs and all their owners, if this kind of stuff went to court, I'm sure they'd probably pump so much money into lawyers that it would be like it wouldn't even get to court, sort of thing, to even argue against putting any sort of laws into place to stop this kind of shit what's happening in football. Because at the end of the day, it's just how the world is. It's just how football's kind of gone in the direction it has gone. Even Gino was saying it yesterday. How it's quite sick, how sad it is, how football has changed and it's going to keep changing because of the money that is coming in from foreign owners and stuff like that. But you can't stop it. It's as simple as that. I mean, there's only how many British owners are there now in the Premier League? I think there's only like a handful now. There's only like Daniel Levy, I think four others. I think it is Brentford, and there's I think 3 or 4 others. But other than that, they're all foreign owners.
And then, so then, yeah, can they be? But then maybe then what comes into play then? Would you say then owners, I guess it's too late and we're only being optimistic, but we're just trying to come up with solutions, and it's hard to come up with any sort of solution at all.
No, but do you know what I was going to say?
Yeah.
Is the reason why I do think there has to be something from the government. But again, I'm going to say the reason why I'm dubious of doing it is because this has been true. Look, especially here in Ireland, the corruption at government level is unbelievable, Jack. I was telling you about it before. There's a program we watch. It's called Reeling in the Years, and they go through every decade. And every decade, there's a scandal with the government. And when you look at it and it's just put into such a half-an-hour clip like that, you're like, oh, my God. But that's the thing. Are the government doing it so that they can get their hands on a bit of the money out of it? It's a bit to like
yeah, of course.
what I was saying earlier. Because right now, right, who did he answer to? FIFA. What happened with FIFA a couple of years ago? How many of them were arrested? And the corruption came out. They're a law to themselves. They do what they want.
Yep.
They do what they want. There's no one controlling, or they put these rules in place. They sell governance themselves. But they bend the rules because that's why Sepp Blatter was getting all the money. That's why all these corrupt officials around the world were getting the money. They're governing themselves, but they're leaving enough rules in there to be able to bend them to pay each other, the big boys. Now, look, the government fan-led review, I do think it will be a good thing, and hopefully they put the right recommendations in place for fans of the clubs. And look, I just hope that maybe there's enough people in the government that really like football that don't want to see something like the Super League ever happen again. And I think that's why they're doing it. But the term I don't like is recommendations. That doesn't go to show to me that they are going to put something in black and white. For me, it looks like, right, they've probably asked the Premier League or the football or whoever's in control of it, we want a slice of the pie. They told them to F off. And now they're putting on pressure on them through the media. Fan-led review. They're going to take the side of the fans until, okay, how much do you want? How much does it take to keep you away from us? Because they've done it with the Saudis for the Super League or for the Saudis takeover at Newcastle. You know what I mean? Money talks. As soon as they sorted out the broadcasting rights, boom, you can buy Newcastle.
That's exactly it. That's what I've been saying for so long.
They're allowed to themselves because they answer to themselves and they're the ones that make the rules.
Yep.
And until the government step in and do something, the meetings that the supporters trust have, they're a token gesture.
The thing is, people, do you know what people forget as well, Dave?
Why shouldn't they be made meet fans once a month? Why?
Yeah.
They should be. It should be mandatory. Fans should have a right to know what's going on at the club because half the fans that support Tottenham have been there before the owners came in. Should they not have a right to be asking questions considering how long they've been fans? How much money they pumped in, season tickets, jerseys down the years, jerseys for the kids, match day programs, bringing them to the games? Should they not be entitled to sit there and ask questions and get answers to see where their club is going to? Because at the end of the day, to them people, it's only a business. But to us, it's the beautiful game. It's a fucking football club. You know? And that's the thing. The government, look, they're going to have to step in eventually.
They're the only ones that basically, they're the last saving grace, would you say, Dave? Or they're the only ones that basically can save them? Maybe like you said, and like Danny said, how much can they actually do? You know,
Jack,
how much do they even want to do? Is maybe
I'll be honest with you.
The only other people they can answer to is the police. But they have to be doing something wrong for the police to get involved. But again, you know, like the thing is, yeah, okay, the police got involved last time. But what happened after? Has any governments got involved and say, okay, what's going on there? Okay, clearly we need to look at and regulate this. No.
But do you know why? Do you know why? Because the governments, for me, are the most corrupt organizations in the world, more corrupt than anyone else, right? And the thing is, this world is built around money, right? All it takes is a little bit of money, to shush money, to shut them up, right? And the government be like, yep, let's have some of that. Just let's have a piece of the pie from all these rich, multi-billionaire owners. And that's it. Let's shut them up. They won't say anything because at the end of the day, they're businesses. Just like the government is a business. Why do you think anything that happens in politics, it's always political with this, political that? It's never political. It's always any trade deal that's done, any deals that are done, it's always about money. I don't want to get into politics and anything like that because it's not part of the stream. But I'm just saying, it's that if people want to, if they actually going to want to go back and look at all this COVID situation and look at all the stuff that happened in the UK with Boris Johnson, the deals that he was making with other countries, there's reasons why the COVID was even worse in this country. All because of money. All because of money trying to do deals with other countries and stuff. And it's the same thing in business with football. If the governments want to do deals with owners in order for them to not have these legislations put in by the governments, then that's what's going to happen. It can't. It just won't happen.
I just want to add to it. I just want to add to that. John Fitzpatrick saying it's a privately owned business. The owners can do what they want. It's simple, David. Yes. No, 100% they can. But the thing is, government put things in place for people that work in the food industry that they have to meet certain regulations and everything else. You know, why can't they do it for football? All you're asking them to do is regulate it, have more governance over it. They can do it for multinational companies that want to come in and set up in their country. They can do it for stuff like that. So why can't they do it for football? I get these private owners can do what they want, but that's as long as the government allows them to do that. The government can't put in stuff in place and basically put it into a situation. Oh, if you don't like our rules over here, then go and buy a club somewhere else.
Even the companies that you allow in the country, you could say no to. You don't have to let them in. You could tax them more. You could say whatever it is. Yeah, you're right, David. Actually, they have a choice over. They have a choice over what they let in and out. They have a choice of who they let operate in there. Of course, maybe they might be private companies outside the country, and that's completely within their own right. But at the same time, it's not like they can just willfully operate in any country that they like. That is actually up to the UK Parliament to decide. Which owners do we let operate in this country? And maybe that was the case why Abramovich wasn't obviously let into the back of the country.
The thing is, Jack, right? In the UK, if it doesn't make the government money, they don't give a shit, mate. Honestly, they don't. Why do you think, right? You've heard about all this stuff about the petrol stuff, right? The petrol stuff that's going on in the UK, right? Yeah. You know why that's happening? That's happening because the government, the DVLA, right, don't have the staff to process the licenses. They're backlogged over 10 weeks, right? You can see it's on the news, right? And the problem is that they know about this, but they don't want to pay for extra staff because the DVLA is run by the government, right? They don't want to pay for extra staff, right, to help them process licenses faster for drivers. They've actually got so many drivers who want to become drivers for the petrols for the lorries and stuff, but because they don't have the staff to process the licenses, that's why there's backlog, and that's why we've had these problems the last couple of weeks in the UK, right? And it's again, it's government. If it means spending money, they will not do it, right? If it means them making money, by all means, they will jump at the chance to do that. They will fucking give you a blowjob to fucking make money. That's what they're like, right? They're like little sluts. They're like fucking prostitutes. Like, give me some money and we'll do anything you want. That's what they're like.
Yeah. No, look, at the end of the day, it's... Look, I'd like to think that the government are getting involved because they didn't like to see what happened to likes of Bury FC and the fact that Gary Neville has put pressure on them and stuff like that. I would like to think that is why they're getting involved. And look, hopefully that is the case. Look, at the end of the day, even if it is maybe for a slice of the pie, right, at least they're willing to back the fans to get what they want, which in terms might help us a bit further along the road as fans. That's the best, I think, scenario that can come out of that situation. William Kelly says, guys, great show. Gotta go, but keep up the great work. Love seeing Danny on the show. Speak so well. Big up, boys. Come on, you Spurs. Big yourself up.
Big up, William, man. Big up, legend, honestly. Thanks for tuning in for this one as well, William Kelly. Really big yourself up. Appreciate you tuning in. Usually what's funny is that maybe that match was David working the refs more than I was, but usually it's actually me working the refs, Cody. Honestly.
Cody? Jack usually infuriates me because he gets a decision and then he doesn't get a decision and then he's sitting there with the ref and he's calling him sir and everything else, and it just winds me up. It's like, stop blowing off the referee, like, it's just honestly. So look, it's about time that Jack got a taste of his own medicine with the referee, with the referees. To be honest with you, Cody, that's what
you got to wine, and that's what I told Dave. And Dave's clearly taking a page out of my book with that, Cody. You got to wine and dine them. You got to call them, sir, before unless they're doing you wrong in the game, then you don't call them. Then you call them ref. But like I said, if it were John Moss, despite how much I hate John Moss's guts, in the beginning of the match, just be polishing his shoes, telling him, how are you doing, sir? Hopefully it'll be a fair match and whatnot. By the way, maybe Conte might need that yellow card, just maybe nice and early. It's just the pleasantries of the game. It's just the pleasantries of the game.
Do you know what, Jack? I've actually heard people asking today when we're on again. So, look, I was saying maybe, if we can get something over the next 2 days, happy days. Probably not Monday because we will be busy. But Tuesday, potentially. If not, hopefully tomorrow we might be able to get some out.
I think we probably fit in something tomorrow. People really seem to enjoy the co-op as well. Maybe, that race to Division 1. But maybe unless we want to, I've actually really run out of questions, in terms of the fan-led review. So now, David, we would be moving on to the Paritici and the and the Newcastle argument, which I think we should just say for part 2. So
I think so, because look, the Tyson Fury fight will be on shortly. I definitely don't want to miss it. I know Danny doesn't, Jack. I know you don't, and I certainly know the Harris Army don't. So look, guys, I'll be honest with you. I thought we'd get everything done today. We didn't, but that just goes to show how much people have enjoyed the show. How much I think maybe the guest Danny enjoyed the show, because we have to do a part 2 where we break down the Paritici video on the effect of Newcastle's takeover and how it's going to affect Tottenham. And so yeah, I think a part 2 is definitely in order. I think. So yeah, I just want to say big up, guys, to Harris Army, everyone that's tuned in. I hope you have enjoyed the show. I really do. But look, Danny, where can people find you on the internet if they want to get in contact with you about anything that we spoke about today? Or
yeah, you can find me on Twitter, Danny Kiriakou, and this here right here. But you can also find me when I'm not working and when I'm not busy. I'll be on here. I'll be on Bob's Bird TV, occasionally on Will Stewart. So you'll see me around on all the channels. But yeah, that's where if you want to message me, you can find me on Twitter.
No, there you are, guys. There you are. So, if Danny said anything that offended you today, you know where to find him now, guys. No, I'm only messing.
Bring it. I like the debates.
Before we move on to Jack and where we can find him, I just want to say thanks so much for giving up your time on a Saturday evening. Danny. I really appreciate it. It's been way too long, brother.
Yeah, it has.
It's good to have you back. People really enjoyed it, so we want to see you more. Back. Everyone get in the comments and tell Danny how much you want to see him.
Everybody thank Danny. Honestly, he's again just was impeccable. We didn't need a fourth. All we needed was Danny for this one, because we knew he could handle his own when it comes to this. We even thought he could handle all 4 sections, but clearly he did such a good job. That we only needed him for the 2 today. So honestly, yeah, everybody thank Danny. Everybody, honestly, legendary performance as per usual.
No, 100%. Absolutely brilliant. Spam it. Tell Danny how much you really love him and you want him on again. But Jack, my man, where can people find you, lad?
I'm going to put the link down there, especially now that maybe we said we're going to be becoming the new Dortmund, maybe becoming the new Ajax. There's no better channel to go. There's no better channel to go than flatcapeurotalk for that one, especially because I am going to be maybe looking at majority players that we all know that maybe not a lot of the bigger clubs would be taking a look at, the ones that Daniel Levy might even take a look at in some of these videos and saying, not a bad idea there. That's maybe a player that would be within my price range, especially a lot of them include highlight reactions. I call them scout reports more or less, especially a lot of them are highlight reactions, and I really do enjoy making them. I think they're a lot of fun. They actually inform me a whole lot more. So then when people say, oh, which left winger should we get? Which Christian Eriksen, replacement we should get? I practically have 10 different answers for you, from 10 different countries, 10 different languages. I mean, I can really, now feel like I have an encyclopedia of players that I can pick from when it comes to, maybe some of the ways that we can rebuild this club. We're already talking about a massive rebuild. I'm almost doing it myself out of my own enjoyment. I really would say, everybody, please head on over that channel if you really are especially interested in, what players actually would we get under a Levy budget. I'm only giving you players in that scenario. I know maybe that doesn't sound like the best way to go about doing our transfer business, but if you want to be the smartest man in the room or the smartest fan in the room when it comes to, maybe what transfer budget or maybe what type of players you want to bring into this club, I would say head on over to our sister channel, flatcapeurotalk, for that one. Especially, we did do a Papa Matasar scout report with a highlight reaction. We also did do, some players that I feel like are a bit outside the box, the Daichi Kamadas of the world, the Lee Kong-ins of the world that we should go after. And then also, I'm going to say it just because I like saying his name, there's this Georgian player that a lot of people seem to like, the Kavicha Kravatsky-Elia guy from Georgia. He's
Jack?
Honestly... you can only say it once until
that tongue twister, isn't it?
But I would say everybody really seems to be enjoying them at the moment. And so if you really enjoy highlight reactions, if you enjoy scout reports, a bit of kind of that niche stuff, really head on over to our sister channel. Really would appreciate it.
And guys, look, we're at 382 subs, I think, on the channel so far, which is very, very good going. But guys, if there is anyone out there, the big push for 400 is on. Smash that subscribe button. It's right here. The channel link is in the chat here. Jack, you can put it in again there, my man, just so it gets to the bottom. Please do get over there. Smash that subscribe button. Especially for you Spurs fans, get over there and check out the Scout Report on Papa Matasar. That's the one that relates to you fans the most. Guys, get over there and check it out. Make sure you smash that subscribe button and help a fellow Yid, me, myself, and Jack on that channel. So big yourselves up. Make sure you subscribe. Guys, I want to say a massive thank you to you, the Harris Army.
Thank you.
These shows are absolutely not without you. We can sit here and waffle the ears off each other all we want. Unless you guys view in, enjoy it, smash that like, smash the subscribe button, share them like you've been doing. Most importantly, getting your answers in the comments, and of course helping us out with super chats. This channel is absolutely nothing. It relies on all of you guys. You guys hold the key to mine and Jack's success or failure. So I want to say a massive thank you to all of you, every single one of you, for everything I just mentioned there. Big yourselves up. Tomorrow, I'm not sure if we'll have a show tomorrow, but Monday we're back with a fan show, and we'll be back with part 2 of this. I'll just find out when Danny is free, because a lot of people want Danny back for part 2, and I think it's only right. I think it's only fair. So we'll find out when Danny's available for part 2, and we'll get that, guys, out to you as well. But look, what I would say to you guys out there now, lads and ladies, sorry, let's be politically correct, is basically enjoy your weekend. You know, Ireland won today. It's great. Tyson Fury's going to win tonight. Enjoy Sunday. Get that roast dinner. Get down, get a carvey, whatever it may be. But enjoy yourselves. It's the international break. Tottenham, of course, went into the international break on a high, winning. We've got Newcastle coming up. Sure to be a good game. But enjoy the winning feeling. Enjoy your Sunday. And most importantly, come on, you Spurs. And thank you to every single one.
Come on, you Spurs.
Enoch out.
Enoch out.
Enoch out.